Well, happy Wednesday, everyone. This is an out of schedule show for this week. I got a commitment that I can't really get out of later on in the week, so I didn't want to miss. So we are doing the show tonight. So my name is Ron Henry, and I am here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you're going to see a chat box, and in that chat box, you can enter your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I do not, but either way, we have an awesome time talking about lawn care and sometimes life. So coming to you guys live tonight, guys, as always, YouTube being the primary platform, we're also on X and also on Facebook. So feel free to participate in any way you want. Whenever I'm showing videos or pictures, I got some pictures from viewers tonight, earlier this week that I'm gonna show you guys tonight. So if you wanna see that and you're on Instagram, you gotta come over. But guys and gals on Instagram, feel free to be part of the conversation. I definitely want to get everyone included. So guys, it's been a fun week, man. We got some rainfall. I got my carbon kit spray done earlier in the week, and the lawn is really starting to wake up. Now, here's the thing. I got some pictures from some folks with, I see one of them's in the live stream here, from Larry, being one of them, with some cool season lawn pictures. And I'm almost embarrassed to show my lawn after showing you guys these pictures, because the turf just looks beautiful. But I'll still show you guys where we're coming along compared to last week. Big strides, big improvements in the lawn, and yeah. So what I'm gonna talk to you guys about tonight is a little bit about the program, about like what I'm doing as far as spoon feeding goes. Some of this you guys have heard before, but if you're new to the live stream, it might be new information for you. So we're gonna go over it anyways, and of course we'll always take your questions. If you got anything interesting that you want to talk about concerning lawn care, feel free to drop it in the chat, and again, I will work through them. Very, very cool. All right, so let's get rolling. First up, we got Archie Amos saying Wednesday night. Okay, I'm down. Yeah, man. It's not going to be a consistent thing, Archie. This is just this week. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled time on Viernes, on Friday. here soon. Don't you worry about it. Let not your heart be troubled. All right, so I have a question here on the gram. This one is from Rudy Xavieria 2008. He says, I live in Los Angeles. I have Bermuda hybrid, so hybrid Bermuda, okay, and I am having trouble with clovers. We have kids and a small dog, but I need to put something on the lawn before it's taken over. Any suggestions? Yeah, so there's several different herbicides that will clean up clover. Rudy, you can use like a 3-way to do that. You can use a Celsius. So you said you have a Bermuda lawn. So you can use a product like Celsius. This will do a pretty good job cleaning up clover in your lawn. And yeah, so the thing about it, if you decide to go this route, what I would say is you're going to use, I don't know how big your lawn is, but one of these at the rate that I would spray for clover will cover about 2,000 square feet. You're going to want to also use surfactant along with it. This is Batman, this is Robin, to you getting a good result as far as controlling the clover that's in your lawn. And what you should see, I don't know where you're in LA, so I mean, I'm sure the temperatures are a lot warmer there than they are here. What you should see is about 10 to 14 days, you should start seeing the clover yellow up and begin to die off. And that really, this should make pretty quick work of taking care of it. So I'll send you a link of where you can find both Celsius and the surfactant. Well, actually, no, I can't. We're gonna have to not do that. We're gonna have to do. I just caught it. You're in California. You can't get Celsius there. So next, our other option is going to be a 3-way. I'll link one to you called Triad that you can use, because Celsius you can't get in Cali anymore. So I will. I'll take care of you, man. So I'll show you for everyone else that's watching. So we're going to go to shop and then weed killer, and then it's going to be on page 2. Will be this guy, which will be Triad Select. So it's a broadleaf herbicide. It's a 3-way, great product. You can use this with a little bit of surfactant, and it will get you all cleaned up. So I will, I'll send you a link to that here, Rudy, and this will take care of it. So you're going to need that, and you're also going to need some surfactant. So I'll send you links to both of them. I'm not sure if, I've never actually watched my live stream live myself while I'm streaming. So I'm not sure if these links are clickable, but if you go to the golf course lawn store and you go to the weed killer section, you'll be able to find both these items. It's not too bad. But yeah, the other thing you'll want to get is your surfactant. So yeah, take care of that, spray it. The thing I would say, you said you have kids and you have a pet. What I'd recommend is really, you can spray the lawn, and once it dries, technically it's safe for them to re-enter. But if you're trying to be super cautious, if you spray tomorrow morning, which would be Thursday morning, keep them off the lawn until Friday. So give it a full 24 hours if you're trying to be super conservative, super cautious. But yeah, that should get you all cleaned up. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Let me know. And yeah, hopefully we get that clover out of control before it gets much worse in your lawn. Thank you for coming in on the live stream. I appreciate you. All right, next up we have T1000. He says, good evening, Terminator 1000. Hopefully you're doing well. And then we got Drizzy saying good evening. What's going on, Drizzy? And then Larry's in the house. So this is Larry, if you guys remember, he has the Fescue lawn. He did the renovation project last year. I think it was Larry. Last year he did the renovation, and he did it from seed. Then he's done a lot of upgrades over this period. He was first using a little handheld spreader to be able to put his fertilizer. I think now he's upgraded to an earthway, which is good. And he sent me some pictures showing how nice his fescue lawn is looking this week. So I'm going to share those with you guys now. So this is picture 1, and I mean, look at that color, guys. It's still absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I guess he still got it roped off, but picture 1 of the lawn of his fescue, looking clean, man. And I got to tell you, Larry, the color has evened up nicely since you went to like a proper broadcast spreader. Your color has evened up really, really nice compared to when you were doing it the other way. And then finally, this other picture, the domination shot along the street, looking really good. As far as his fertilization program, what he's running is our Lebanon 12024 fertilizer, the stress fertilizer that we like to use. He's running that every 4 weeks on his fescue lawn, and I would say that it's working. It's doing the business. Looks good, man. Looks solid. Really, really nice work. I appreciate you sending me the pictures, and keep going. Like, Larry, I got a challenge for you, man. A little challenge. I'm a lawn care person, so when I look at a lawn, all I can see are the flaws. So we got that little strip there, man, between the sidewalk and your lawn. We got to do something about that, man. We got to put something in there. I don't know if that's yours, if that's the city's, maybe that's why you can't do anything with it. But if you can, we gotta pretty that up, man. You gotta have a nice entry into the awesomeness that is your lawn. So that's like a challenge for maybe sometime this spring, maybe this fall. Something to consider. Just a thought, something to take under consideration. Again, thanks for sending the pictures. Really do appreciate it. All right, next up we got Mr. Robert Rainey's in the house saying, "Good evening, happy Hump Day." What's going on, Robert? Hopefully all is well. Have you decided? Have you given a date as yet when you're going to get rid of the ryegrass? Are you going to let it go for a little bit longer, or you're gonna spray it out? I was talking to the folks at Real Rollers today, and they're, if you ever get a chance to go by the turf park today, that ryegrass is kicking. It looks good. I mean, it is a thing of beauty. It looks fake. It almost, I mean, that's the biggest compliment you could give grass. It looks better than fake grass would look. It looks incredible. And I think he's getting ready to spray it out, but I think he's gonna hang on to it for a little while longer. I think it's probably not gonna be till till middle of next month, so that it's that he decides to get rid of it. But color is on point. All right. Next up, Rudy says, he loves your energy. Thanks for your time and wisdom. You're very, very welcome. Thank you for taking. Here's the thing, guys. I had low expectations for tonight. I mean, Friday night, yeah, you're at the end of the week. You want to relax and unwind, but there's a lot of places you could be on a Wednesday night on a hump day. People will be out, like, having a drink, they'll be out just hanging out, socializing. But you're here, and I appreciate it. Those of you that show up, I really do appreciate it. Even middle of the week, you guys are still here to show the support. All right, next up is Michael. Michael Schroeder's up next. He says, excited for the Wednesday stream. Starting to finally green up now in Arkansas and looking to get some useful advice tonight for lawn work this weekend. I like it. So let me talk about a little bit what I've been doing on my lawn so far for this season. So like Larry, although his lawn is cool season lawn, so it looks completely different. I started out with the 12-0-24 as far as my fertilizer. Now that has got a high potassium fertilizer. It has 12% nitrogen, but it's a lot of it is a slower release. So I started out this month with that, and then this past weekend I sprayed with the 901C carbon kit. So I can show you guys what the lawn looks like now. Again, I'm a little bit afraid to show because I just showed a lawn that looks incredible, and I'm going to show you my front lawn. I'm proud of it, but I mean, for cool season folks, you'll be like, "Oh man, that looks sickly. What's wrong with that?" But anyway, this is my baby, my pride and joy. This is it today. You can see I even mowed it for you guys. You can see the faint stripes in there just barely. And compared to last week, you can see that 901C carbon kit is doing the business. The color's coming in really nice. It's still filling in, but overall, the lawn is looking good for this time of year. We had a little bit of a cold snap there for the last couple of days. And that may have slowed things down a little bit, but now we're right back on a warming trend. Temp's going to be in the 70s tomorrow, so the lawn is going to be living its best life. So those of you guys with warm season grass, I'm going to pause here as we get through the video. I'm going to show you like the effect that shade can have on your Bermuda lawn. Like some of you guys say, "Oh, well, I have a little bit of shade, not that big a deal. I should be able to grow grass there." So if we pause and look at Exhibit Ugly, you see that my hedge there, which is not really that big. You can see the little bit of shade, the little bit of shadow that is casting there. And that is enough. That little plant, that little shrub is enough to cause that area to lag behind the rest of the lawn. Now, it will fill in, but it's not going to be until probably late April until that fills in. So just wanted to show you guys that you can look at the area that's getting plenty of direct sunlight, looking awesome, growing in really, really sweet, and just a little bit of shade from that hedge is making a big difference in how the grass's ability to grow in. So for any of you guys that have a Bermuda lawn, you're saying, I've got a little bit of shade, I should be doing all right. It shows you how even something that small can make a difference. And you really see it now because, as the lawn is coming out of dormancy, you can see the effect that sunlight has on that one little band, that little, 2-foot band around around that hedge. So, if you are looking to get the most out of your lawn, and especially if it's a bigger area, a much larger shaded area, you really would want to look into like raising the canopy, doing something to kind of to get more direct sunlight. Even light that's passing through the trees is really not that great. You want direct sunlight, like from the sun, straight through space, right down to your lawn, right to the grass is the best thing because Bermuda loves all the sunlight. Like you can even look at my lawn, it gets babied, it gets all the good stuff, and it's no exception. Even I cannot get past the idea that Bermuda and shade are like ice cream and mayonnaise. They just don't go together. You just can't it's going to lag behind. But it will fill in. But I just want to show you that as a cool point to show the effect that shade can really have on your lawn. All right. Next up, we have Jason Harrison. He's in the house. He says, dropping by just to say hi and press the like button. I appreciate that, Jason. Looking forward to a good night of chat. I will do my best. I'm not sure how late we're going to go tonight, but we will talk as long as folks are here and they have questions. And on that note, guys, we've got 70 folks in the live stream right now, only 24 likes. I know it's just at the beginning of the show. However, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like button ever so gently, I'd really appreciate it. It costs you absolutely nothing. It's a free way to support the channel, free way to support the content, sends good vibes to YouTube, send more folks to come over and hang out with us, which we kind of need tonight. So if you guys wouldn't mind doing that, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. And then we back here on the gram, Rudy says, if you have weekend live events, let me know. Saturday mornings, I have more time. Got a pack for work. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm going to do more of that this year, Rudy. So last year I did a couple of live streams outside. I did one large one where I did verticutting, turf raking. I did like an Essential G application and just showed like all the cultural practices that I do on the lawn when it's actively growing. But I want to do more of that. You guys seem to like it. So on Saturdays, sometime on the weekend, it'll be a bit more ad hoc. I'll see if I can schedule them, but they'll likely be a bit more ad hoc than how these are. And yeah, if anything, it's just answering questions with the lawn in the background. It'll be kind of cool, right? So I plan to do more of that this year. I've got the equipment to do it, got all the wireless and everything set up, so we should be able to pull that off and have a good time. All right, next up is Will Covey. Will Covey. He says, hey, Ron, I found out my TIF-type Terrell Fescue has a lot of POA triv in it over the weekend. Feeling really defeated on what to do. It's distributed throughout the lawn, so glyphosate spraying isn't an option. Not great. Not great, Will. There's an option, though, that's coming out soon that we will likely start carrying for that. So you know what I always say. Anytime you guys, you have a cool season lawn, and I say, hey, you got POA in it. And I say, hey, sorry, you're kind of out of luck. There's not really a great selective herbicide for controlling POA in cool season turf grass on residential lawns. Like that's all the things, right? It's like POA, residential lawns, cool season lawn. That's the combination that's been difficult to figure out. Well, here soon. Again, it's only now just starting to ship, so I will get my hands on some as soon as I can. And I'll make it available to you guys. There's a new herbicide from New Farm. The same folks that are really good at controlling POA in warm season turf grass, they're coming with a new herbicide called Velocity. So Velocity PM. It's designed for controlling POA triv and POA annua in cool season turf grass, which is kind of cool. Now the thing about it. And again, when I actually get it, I'll probably do a live stream where I talk more about it. But the idea behind it is that when I was talking to the New Farm rep about it, is that it's the PM in it stands for POA management, meaning that it's not going to be like how certainty can be, where you spray it once, you smack, you pretty much can smack the POA down as long as you use it at the right rate. This is going to take a couple of apps. They're saying in some cases 2 apps, maybe as many as 3 apps to control it, to clean it up. But it's an option, right? And it's well tolerated by cool season grasses, which is kind of cool. So it's called Velocity PM. As soon as we can get our hands on some of it, I will make it available to you guys. It's not going to be inexpensive. It's quite expensive herbicide. If I had to guess, it's high. It's like more than Pilex. It's going to be like somewhere in the I haven't seen final pricing. It's going to be somewhere like in the $700 range. It's expensive. I mean, it's a unicorn type product. So I guess they're proud of it. But yeah, that's something that is coming out. It's not, again, you can't even, I'm not sure you're gonna get it just yet, but once it is, once I can get my hands on some, like I said, we're going to be carrying it in the store, and we'll make it available to you guys again. But bring your wallet, not going to be cheap. But I mean, as far as if having POA in your cool season lawn is something you really want gone, which a lot of you do, then this is going to be an option. The cool thing about it is that the temperature range that you spray it over is it needs to be you can't spray when it's too cool. It needs to be in the high 60s, low 70s, and then that's when you would spray. So you do it then, and then the subsequent apps, like 10 to 14 days afterwards is when you do subsequent applications. But again, there'll be a full product description. I'll chat more about it once I have more info. But if you want to just, you cross your fingers, I mean, here soon, figure within next few weeks, we should be able to get our hands on some. And then, if you can decide if it's how much POA really bugs you. But it's kind of cool. It's a new option for controlling POA in cool season turf grass, and it is labeled for use on residential lawns, which is kind of nice, right? There's a couple options for there are some options for POA, but they are really for professional use. You're not supposed to use them on residential lawns, whereas this is something that is labeled for that purpose. So we'll keep you posted. Once I get more info, I'll let you guys know. So new farm coming through, right? They already got certainty, and now they're coming through with something for the cool season folk. So we'll see. All right, we have Texas Real Man here on the gram. He says, I'm fairly new to watching and wondering what got you all hooked on all this lawn care fun. What got me hooked on lawn care? So the thing about lawn care that when moved into this house, the lawn had a lot of potential. It was like a big wide open space. I was like, man, this could actually look really nice, right? And I just started working on ways of making it look better. I wanted it to look like a golf course. So that's when I got into real mowing. I started out with a push reel mower, started making friends with some folks in industry, and I started learning a lot about fertilization, about nutrient, about how you grow a great stand of turf grass. And the thing that I find particularly appealing about lawn care is that it has similarities to martial arts. So outside of lawn care, I'm a martial artist, right? And the nice thing about martial arts is no matter how good you do a form, right? And how long you call form hyung like a pattern, no matter how good you do it, there's always something you can do better. There's always something you can tweak and you can adjust to make it just a little bit better. And lawns are very much the same way. Like I tell you guys in the live stream for that folks that have watched for any period of time, out of the entire season, there are probably 3 weeks out of the year when I look at my lawn, I say, you know what? I'm happy with this. This looks good. Leading up to that, I'm trying to get it looking its best. And then as it began, and then during that 3-week period, it looks awesome. Typically it's in June-ish time frame. And then it still looks good throughout the rest of the season, but it's not like quite there. So the never ending chase of perfection that you can never really get is what I just find enjoyable, right? So it's the same thing that makes me enjoy martial arts, the same thing that makes me enjoy lawn care. Plus, I also like helping people out. I think that we're all here to to be useful. And the little bit that I've learned, folks have found that valuable. So that's why I keep showing up. So as long as you guys show up, I will show up. But that's it. That's it, Texas Show, man. It's an accomplishment. It's something that's fun to do. There are far worse hobbies you can have. And yeah, that's in a short explanation. That's why I'm so much into it. There's a lot of similarities between other things that I enjoy doing, and that it's never perfect. There's always something to make better, which is why I like it. All right, next up is Robert Rainey. He says, I have a question for a fellow Golf Course Lawn Academy member. Any ideas on shielding / protecting plants and flower beds when spraying weeds? Yes, a barrier, cardboard. Cardboard is what I would use. So if you are, let's say you're spraying a mulch bed, like I've done this in the past. If I'm spraying a mulch bed and I'm just using glyphosate because it's just mulch, and I want to prevent any kind of drift from getting into the grass and potentially damaging it, I just get a piece of cardboard. I mean, all you guys likely shop online and you probably have plenty of cardboard available to you, and just get you a little, 2 foot by 18-inch section of cardboard, and just as you're spraying, just use that as your barrier to prevent drift and any of it getting into the desirable plant. So a barrier is really the best way. I mean, that's you can try and be careful by keeping the wand close to the weeds you're trying to target, but still, really the best thing is a physical shield, a physical barrier to prevent overspray is what I would do if you're spraying something that's not rated for the plants you're trying to protect. So cardboard. If you want to see what I'm talking about, if you look at I forget which video it is, but I was over at the Real Rollers Turf Park and we were taking care of some weeds that were in the mulch beds, getting ready for the last turf party, which was at this point a couple years ago. And I was using the combination of glyphosate and Fusilade to clean up some Bermuda that had been creeping into the beds, and that's what we used. I had a piece of cardboard, and I was just using that to shield the beautiful turf grass that's there while targeting, in this case, Bermuda that was in the mulch beds, because we were treating it as a weed. So your best bet is a physical barrier is what I would go with. That's worked well for me in the past. Hope that helps, Robert. If you need anything else, let me know. But great question. All right, next up is Gold Runner. It says, I just ordered the kelp to pair with the 1600 and 901C. I'm ready to throw down 74 degrees, but 52 tomorrow in South Carolina. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, Gold Runner. There's going to be variances in temperature in the early spring. You're going to have some days, I mean, like couple days ago, we had the lows that were in the mid 30s, but now it's right back to the lows being 40s and 50s, here in Georgia. So I really wouldn't sweat it too much. I'd be, if the lawn is greening up, right, to where if your lawn looks like how my front lawn looks. I mean, even if it's not even this much, I mean, this is you can definitely feed it if it looks like this. If your lawn looks anything like that, you're good to go as far as applying your granular fertilizer and also doing your 901C carbon kit. The way that I use fertilizer products is I will apply the granular. So for example, April is around the corner. Beginning of April, I will apply Humic Max, the 1608 fertilizer. That's what I'm using as my granular pretty much throughout the entire season. And then I will spray the 901C carbon kit. So let me, you know what, I'm talking, I can actually, probably easier to show. If you go to shop and then lawn fertilizer on the golf course lawn store, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So my fertilizer, my granular is going to be this, right? Humic Max, the 1608. And then I will spray the 901C variant of the carbon kit. So you have 901C, NutriKelp, and BioSpectrum. And then the only other thing that will add to that is a bit of Nutrizol, a little bit of micronutrient, little micronutrient kicker. That will be my 1st and 15th of April application. When May rolls around, that same thing gets applied, but then I'll start introducing Primo Max. I'll start using growth regulator. So so the long short, just to recap, is granular once a month, the beginning of the month, and then the liquids twice a month, on 2-week intervals. So 1st and the 15th, and again, it's the 901C carbon kit, Nutrizolve, and then once I start, growth regulator. I've got a blog post on the topic of spoon feeding, this approach to taking care of your lawns. I really like the results that it produces. And if you're interested in that, I will link it in the chat for you, because it covers exactly what I just went over. It talks about talks about application rates, products. I mean, in this case, I show Humic Max and release 901C. But if you have another fertilizer and you know how to do the calculations, you can make that work well too. So this is the link to that at Gold Runner, and I hope this is useful for you. Again, thanks for coming to join the live stream. I appreciate all the love and support. Spoon feeding blog, and there you go. Cool. Next up is Jesse on the gram. He says, is it still too cool for the certainty Celsius combination in North Texas? Average temps in the 60s, mid 70s next week. No, not really, Joe. The thing is, or Jess, if the weed that you're targeting is actively growing, you can use Celsius. What you'll tend to find is that as temperatures go up, the herbicide works faster. But yes, you can still use it, and you're good to go. So yeah, no worries about that. If the weed you're targeting is actively growing, by all means go after it. Yeah, Offered Envy. It's Wednesday night, man. We're doing it tonight instead of later on in the week. So thank you for showing up. Appreciate you. All right, next up we have Will Covey. He says, put down some Carbon Pro G for the first time. Will any effects be noticeable this season, or does it take time? Also trying a new PGR. Curious what effects it'll have on cool season turf. I did the first app. Yeah, so the effects of Carbon Pro G, really in 3 to 4 weeks, you'll see it. It's not a great, I'm not sure if I have the video from last week, but the big thing that you'll notice is the benefits of the product are that the biochar that you put in that's in Carbon Pro G, whenever you do a fertilizer app, it allows you to get more out of it. So your fertilizer, you're gonna be able to get by with using less nutrient input, so less fertilizer, less nitrogen going in the lawn, and the turf is still gonna look great. As you have a season of doing this, what you're gonna find, and this is something that holds true on my lawn, is that like my lawn was one of the first ones, first ones in the neighborhood, definitely in this area, to wake up and look the way it looks. And it's one of the last ones typically to go dormant. If you look at Alex's lawn and my lawn, the thing is we get pretty much the same program with the exception of Essential G. I know you're talking about Carbon Pro G, but I'm using Essential G. It's a similar product. And Alex doesn't do that nearly. He doesn't use Essential G like how I use it. So that's the biggest difference between our two lawns. And the noticeable difference is just an earlier green up. You can get by with using less inputs, and the turf still looks incredible. So that's the big thing I would say you're going to see. A new PGR. I can't really speak to that. I've never I've never used it. I've heard that it's more popular for cool season grass than warm season grass, but I've just not something that I've ever used, so I can't tell you how well it would work. As long as you're following the label, spraying it according to the label, then you should get a good result. I'd imagine it would work just fine for you. So keep me posted. Since you're doing both of them, you're doing well, Carbon Pro, you already know what's going to happen. But as far as the growth regulator, let me know as far as any effects that you see when you decide to run with that. All right, good stuff. Next up, we got Michael Schroeder in the house. He says, I reached out to you earlier in the week after my soil test showed low phosphorus, so my roots might not be the best. Will PGR help with root growth or hurt growth as I work on getting the phosphorus up? PGR, growth regulator, like Primo, is not going to negatively hurt, is not going to negatively impact your grass's ability to grow weeds. Not at all, not in the least at all. It slows down or suppresses top growth, and so the gibberellic acid synthesis that helps the grass to grow tall, that feeds stalk growth, it suppresses that. But as far as the ability for the turf to grow roots and also to grow leaf, that's not affected. So I can explain this, but a picture is way better. So if you look at the product description for Primo, I think it's the second picture here. This is a great way to illustrate it. These are Bermuda from one of them has Primo, and the one right next to it is the neighbor's lawn that does not have growth regulator on it. And you can see the difference in density. They're both Bermuda grass. There's a lot less stalk in the one on the right, meaning it's but as far as leaf, there's a lot more, so it's a lot denser. So to answer your question, no, there's not going to be any negative effects as far as your ability for the grass to grow roots by using growth regulator. And then, yeah, as you build your phosphorus up using that fertilizer that we were talking about, you'll be just fine. Nothing really to get wrapped around the axle about. I forget where in the country you are, Michael, but when the time comes for you to start using growth regulator, which again can be like mid-April, early May, that you can do that without any cause for concern. No problems there at all. All right, next up is Colin. CPIMS is in the house. Says, what's up, Ron? I guess I missed the announcement for the live stream being today, last week. There's a live stream tonight? Still here, though. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, so it was towards the end of the live stream. I was losing my voice. I was still not 100% yet, but I was like far worse as far as being sick last week. So it was towards the end of the night. Is one of the last things I said is, guys, by the way, next week, the live stream is going to be on Wednesday. So I should have announced it earlier in the show. My apologies, my bad. I assume, but I'm glad you still showed up. Next week, we'll be back to our normally scheduled time on Friday nights. But yeah, I got a commitment that I gotta do Friday. So I can't really get out of it. So we're going to do the live stream tonight, because the option is not do the live stream, which you guys would not be okay with that, understandably so, or do it on another night. So I'm choosing another night. And since a lot of you guys watch it after the fact anyway, whether it comes out Friday or comes out tonight, hey, you get it earlier in the week, right? So there you go. All right. Next up is Will Covey. Says, what's your X? I don't see it in the description. Yeah, so it is at Digital1. It's still my old handle from when I was in I'm still in technology, but it's like the handle that I've used forever online, and I'll link it here in the chat in case you're interested. You want to follow me, Will. I post as far as to X, not a ton of content goes on. It's primarily the live streams, but if I start getting more of a following there, perhaps I'll start doing that. But yeah, that's it. I just posted it there in the chat at Digital1, and it's spelled with a J instead of a G, at Digital1. All right, next up, we have Shauna. Shauna from the great state of Texas, I believe, is in the live stream. She says, really enjoyed throwing out the 14714 from Lebanon. Going to start the liquids next month. Really hoping moving to liquids will help my line even more. It will. What you're going to find, Shauna, is by having liquids as part of your program, you're just going to get more consistency. Like the big thing that I find, and probably some of you guys have experienced this, is when you apply a granular fertilizer, what you tend to get is once the grass begins taking it up, depending on how it releases and this kind of thing, you tend to see a nice flush of green, and then it begins to taper off a little bit, right? When you use liquids, and again, you're using very low rates as far as the nutrients that you're spraying the lawn with, it kind of smooths out that those ebbs and flows as far as color and how quickly the lawn is growing. So again, you're not going to be spraying super high rates, but I think you're really going to like the results. Like, I mean, I started doing it years ago, and I love the way the turf looks. And given that, if you're someone that uses growth regulator, it gives you the opportunity to get out there and spray primo twice per month at half rates versus spraying it, once per month, which can be kind of iffy, especially as you get further into the summer months, with it coming out with the lawn coming out of regulation. So yeah, I think you're really gonna like it. The big thing is it doesn't take much. You don't need to go heavy on the rates. Like go with low rates. And you said you're using Turfplex and Nutrizolve. Great. So with that combination, you're going to spray Turfplex at 6 ounces per thousand. That is the low rate for that product. That puts out 1/10 of a pound of nitrogen. And then you will, because you're mixing it with Nutrizolve, the rate on the label for Nutrizolve is 6 ounces per thousand as well. But because you're mixing it with Turfplex, I would back that down. I would spray it at like 3, or maybe if you want to, maybe 4 ounces per thousand. Reason being is that Turfplex already has micronutrient in it. It has iron. It has, I think, magnesium as well. So you're using Nutrizolve, yes, to give a bit more of an iron kicker, but also to fill in that boron, the molybdenum, the copper, the micros that Turfplex doesn't have. So one, you don't need to do it at full rate, because you're still going to get a great result by backing it down a little bit, because Turfplex has micros in it, and it makes it last longer, right? Because the stuff is inexpensive, so why use more of it than you absolutely have to? So remember, 6 ounces per thousand for the Turfplex, 3 to 4 ounces per thousand for the Nutrizolve when you're mixing those two. If you are using the 901C carbon kit, which does not have the micros in it, in that case, you would spray Nutrizolve at the full rate of 6 ounces per thousand. So good stuff. Hope that helps. Keep me posted as far as it goes. And you said we got someone else here on the live stream saying, sitting on the back patio with some perfect weather, watching the Bermuda waking up. So you're sitting there watching grass grow. I can't judge you. I can't throw shame. I've done it myself. And you said you have a question. You said, when is the perfect time to start with the season's first granular fert? It's a good question. So whenever the grass has woken up on its own, right? So when you're already seeing green starting to come throughout the lawn, you got the green. I mean, there's not a really good term for it, but you call it the green fuzz, right? Where there's green throughout the lawn. That's when you can start feeding it. Now, the thing I would say is I would not go heavy with heavy nitrogen for your first app of the season. If you can, using a fertilizer that has a little bit of faster release nitrogen is fine, but primarily a slow release component, I particularly like that. And for the first fert of the season, if you can, a fertilizer with more potassium, with higher potassium, is also good too. Not strictly necessary, but if you have access to one, I would do that. So to put it in perspective, here in Northeast Georgia, my lawn has already gotten its first granular fertilizer app of the season. I use the 12024 from Lebanon Turf, which is what we carry on the golf course lawn store, and the lawn is responding really nicely to it. If you're on YouTube, you'd be able to see some video that I've shown of the lawn. And that's it works great. And then starting in April, all throughout the season, I will then switch to Humic Max and use that once per month until September, October timeframe, and then I'll do my last app of the season, which will be again the Stress 12024. So your lawn will tell you when it begins to wake up. You start seeing green. That's when you can begin feeding it. I would go with a lower nitrogen or a slower release nitrogen for the first app of the season. That's something I'm just a fan of doing. So hope that helps. I'll let you go back to watching your grass grow. You enjoy yourself. All right. Going back to the comment section, we got Carrie McDaniel says, keep up the good work, Ron. I appreciate that, Carrie. Thank you so much for that. It really does mean a lot. It's like I always tell you guys, I'll keep showing up as long as you guys keep showing up. So it's a lot of fun just helping people improve their lawns. It really means a lot. Hopefully it comes across as that I enjoy doing this. So yeah, thank you for showing up even on a Wednesday night, because I know there's other places you could be. All right, next up is No Name. He says, hey, Ron and fellow lawn enthusiasts, I will miss tonight, but let's get those likes up. Okay, so No Name, we got to talk about what missing means. Missing means not present, but you're still here. I guess you just popped in to say, hey guys, look, I'm not going to be here, but y'all better hit that like button, which I appreciate. But this is not this. If this is what you do when you miss an event, you're not missing it wrong. But to tell you what, whenever you're going to miss the live stream, miss it this way. Come in and still leave a comment, lead the like button sharing squad. I appreciate it. And yeah, whatever you're doing tonight, which I'm sure there's, it's Wednesday night, I get it. Have fun, be safe out there. All right, next up is Larry. He is in the house. He says, thanks, Ron. I tried ground cover on that strip and even spread weed block and mulch over it. No matter what, the weeds always took over. Now I just Roundup just spray Roundup and keep it dirt. Any suggestions? Here's the thing, Larry. Listen. You're bigger than this. You're better than this. If you look at your lawn, no. We can't have. Look, you got like that 2-foot section. You cannot let the weeds just run rampant and let them have that. I mean, you obviously have proven you can grow a great stand of turf grass. I mean, the fescue looks awesome. The color looks great. I can tell you mow it, looks really good. I mean, there's got to be an option other than just leaving that as bare dirt and let the weeds have their way. Can't tolerate that. I'm not sure what you did for ground cover. If you decided you want to go that route, but maybe consider, like, if you don't want to like have grass on there because you don't want to mow it. I get it. But maybe consider like some ground cover, like what you're talking about, and mulch. Perhaps that would help. Like, you go through and hit it with glyphosate to knock those out, to knock the current weeds down. But then you find some ground cover that you like. Maybe it doesn't grow too fast, so it's not going to be a ton of work to take care of. And then consider putting mulch in there. That would make it more difficult for those weeds to come through. And here's the thing. Like, there are pre-emergents that work so on mulch beds. Like, I've used on my lawn, I still spray prodiamine. I mean, it doesn't work as long as it does on the lawn, obviously, but you can use prodiamine. There's another one called I can see it. It's a yellow container. Preen. That's another one that will, it's granular. You can use that in mulch beds as well, because I mean, as nice as the lawn is, as nice as the lawn looks, man, we gotta do something about that. I'm just saying, you're a bigger man than this. I don't think you have to let the weeds run rampant there. It's not a good look. You can absolutely do it. I think ground cover, mulch, some pre-emergent, and as they begin to break through, just play whack-a-mole with them. But I think we can do something with that. We can make that better. My thoughts. Granted, I'm not the one doing the work, but just yes, my thoughts, and I'm an expert on my opinion. So there you go. Next up is Drihazy, I think. It says, the lawn took a beating from snow mold this year. Yikes. Looks really thin. I'm ready to overseed my perennial ryegrass. Not going to do pre-emergent. Like it. Should I seed and fertilize simultaneously when it starts to wake? You can. You absolutely can. So if you not doing pre-emergent, great. That's absolutely good. That's going to give you the best results for getting good germination out of your overseeding project. And then as far as putting out a fertilizer, yeah, I'm a fan. What you can do to start the season, if you have a soil test that shows that you don't need phosphorus, then you could just use a X0X, like a 1608, like the Humic Max product that we carry. You could use the 12024, like a nitrogen and potassium fertilizer. If you're looking for a starter fertilizer, or you just don't know, you could use something that has a bit of each of them. So a good option, I'll show you really quick here. If you go to the golf course lawn store, you go to shop and then lawn fertilizer. If you're looking for a starter fertilizer, starter type fertilizer for a seeding project, you could use something like this, the Complete 14714. It's got nitrogen, a bit of phosphorus, and some potassium in it. It also has some kelp, a bit of humic acid in it. It's got some micronutrient as well. So it's a complete fertilizer for feeding a new lawn, a great option. So you might want to consider that whenever you put your seed down. But yes, whenever I have done seeding in the past, what I have done is I have applied the fertilizer, and then I've applied the grass seed, and then I've raked it all in. That's what I've done. I've gotten great results with that. So hope that helps, Drihazy, and good job not putting on pre-emergent, because that would have ruined your ryegrass overseed. So keep us posted as far as how the lawn develops, how it bounces back from the work. All right, next up we got Michael Scharfenberg. He's in the house. He says, I did some leveling in the past 2 years with Supersod's leveling mix and was very happy. This year, I'm thinking of top dressing with their compost right after aeration. Is this a good plan? Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so I've done exactly what you've done in the past, Michael. So I have top dressed my lawn several times with the Supersod level mix, which is that 70% sand, 30% their soil through their compost product. Got great results with that. And on the front lawn, if you've noticed, the last couple of years, I have not top dressed with sand. I've just done a light top dressing in the early spring in April with just a compost type product. I've used their compost. Worked great. And I've also used carbonized PN, which is a product that we carry from Miramichi Green to top dress. So yeah, if you're just looking to increase your organic material, give the lawn a nice organic, really organic wake up, and just increase the amount of organic material in the soil, it's a great option. Just go into it knowing that that's not really a good leveling medium, right? So you can top dress it, you can rake it all in and get it settled, but it's not the best medium if you're trying to smooth out bumpy areas, because it's not going to hold for very long. But as far as just feeding the soil, improving soil quality, love it, love it. I've done exactly what you have done with great results. So like all times when it comes to top dressing, though, Michael, I would tell you is to go light. When it comes to top dressing, I like 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch on the high end as far as the amount of material that I put down at one time. As long as you do that, you should be okay. If you decide you're going to go with the Super Sod blend, I have a discount code they've given me to share with you guys. That takes, it's not much, saves the additional $5 off of any incentives they're currently running. So if they are running a sale, if you use this code, it will save you an additional $5 off of whatever you pay. So every little bit helps, right? So this is the this is the leveling mix. I'll just say that. Discount code, and there you go. So you can use that. It applies to not only the leveling mix, but also their compost, the soil cube compost product, if you decide to go that route. So yeah, good stuff, man. I like it. I like it. Sounds like a good time. Next up is Papa Moslow. He's in the house, and he says, Ron, I know you may have covered this many times, but I'm asking again. Fungicide and pesticide on the same days in April and May. I have equal 20 EW. Will this work? I want to use it up before I buy pillar. Yeah, so when I typically do my insecticide apps, Papa Moslow, is in April timeframe. Really, I mean, you can let temperatures be your guide, but in April it starts getting warm enough here in Georgia where you can start seeing some where insect activity can start being a thing. So I tend to get my insecticide out in April, and then fungicide I wait until May timeframe. If you want to do both in like say late April, early May, I'm good with that. That's fine. I mean, you can get your insecticide out in late April, early May, and you can do your fungicide app in in May. So of the two, I would prefer that you wait until May to do your fungicide application if you're doing it for preventative purposes. And then so May, June for fungicide, and then your insecticide again late April will be just fine. So to answer your question, yes, that's going to be fine. And yeah, good stuff. And the only time I would say outside of that, because I've gotten a couple questions about this week, as far as fungicide applications, is some people say, why can't I apply it sooner, apply it earlier? And if your lawn has a history of disease earlier in the season, then yeah, by all means, go out and apply your fungicide earlier. But if it's one of these things where you're using it primarily as a preventative to try and keep like large patch, brown patch out of your lawn, then if waiting till May, doing an application in May and doing another one in June, I find produces a good result. That's good advice for most people. Again, if you have a history of it being earlier in the season, you can do your application a bit earlier if need be. Now, and on that topic, Papa Moslow, because the question was so good, today we actually released a blog post on lawn diseases. So if you go to the resource section of the Golf Course Lawn Store and go to blog, you'll see this new blog post on how to get rid of brown patch fungus in your lawn. It talks about what brown patch disease is, how to identify it, what causes it, and then gets right down to fungicide. So, if you like, the long short is, if you like liquids, go with Pillar SC. If you like granular, go with Headway G. Or if you like Papa Moslow and you like granular, you can do Caravan. So Caravan G is a combination insecticide and fungicide product. I would wait till like the later April, early May timeframe if you're gonna go with this. So yeah, that was just released today. So if you guys are interested in reading a short blog post about brown patch, like what causes it, and also some options for getting rid of it, I'll link it there in the chat. I think it's a pinned comment in the live stream as well too. So you guys can feel free to check that out if you so desire. The only thing I'd also tell you, Papa Moslow, is that if you decide, or for any of you guys that, I know you're not doing it because you already have Eagle 20, but if you decide to use Caravan, right? Caravan is both an insecticide and a fungicide. And while I'd be fine with you using that for your first application, so you're trying to get your insecticide done, your grub control done, and also your preventive fungicide done, like doing that in May would be fine. I would not use it again though in June, because really there's not a need to apply insecticide like twice in like 2 months in a row, like 4 weeks apart. Fungicide app, yes, but the insecticide, no. So if you're going to go with the strategy of using Caravan, you would use Caravan, say late April, early May, and then for your next application for fungicide, use Headway. So that's strictly a fungicide, no insecticide in it, and that will cover you for both insecticide, insect control, and also for your fungicide for the second application of the season. So. And again, everything I'm saying here, if you guys want an easy way to be able to find this, it's all written up for you under the resources section in the Golf Course Lawn Store under our lawn care schedule. Like they're under number 5, which is a monthly application schedule. It will tell you literally a month-by-month breakdown of pretty much the program. It's very similar to the program that's in the Golf Course Lawn Academy. And you can see that come May, you've got Headway G or Pillar SC, or you could use Caravan. You could use Caravan instead. So yeah, you can literally follow this if you're so interested, and you'll be using a program that's pretty much along with what I do on my lawn, and also what is taught in the Golf Course Lawn Academy. Good stuff, Papa Moslow. Hopefully that helps, sir. If you need anything else, let me know. I think I've got you covered. We covered the insecticide, the fungicide, and then timing, and good stuff, man. All right, next up we have, let's see if we have anyone else here on the gram. Nope, gram is quiet right now. And he says, End Time Watcher ELG says, Ron, just subscribe to your channel. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. Every little bit helps. He's like, just cut my grass with my Ego mower on the lowest setting. Would that be scalping? It's Bermuda grass, Minister Eddie. Quite possibly. I mean, unless your lawn is relatively smooth, like most Bermuda lawns, you're going to have a challenge cutting them at the lowest setting with a rotary mower. So yeah, I mean, what I would say is this: if you cut it at the lowest setting, you bag all the clippings, you got them all out, and if your plan is to say to maintain it on notch 2, so like 1 level up from where you scalped it, then you're good to go. Remember, when it comes to scalping, you don't need to take the mower down to the dirt. Now, some people do that, but I think it's just unnecessary wear and tear on the equipment, and you're creating a lot more work for yourself. I mean, there's situations where that makes sense, but for most people, it doesn't. It's really just unnecessary. So in your case, if you're planning on maintaining the lawn, say a notch higher than where you scalped, you're good to go. You're good to go. You did it exactly right. So get out there, enjoy it, enjoy the lawn, and yeah, I mean, the thing that will also give you some guidance, end time watcher, is that if whenever you mow the lawn. If typically it only takes a couple of days. If a couple of days later you see some areas that are, you'll see like the circular pattern cut from the blade that are brown, that tells you that you're scalping a bit. You need to raise the mower up a bit. So the mower, the turf will tell you if you're cutting it too low. If you're trying to maintain it at a height that it's just not gonna agree with. The only other piece of advice I'd give you, and since you're new here to the channel, is keep your equipment sharp. Like most people, the only time their mower blades are sharp, which is it's a travesty, is when it comes out of the box. They buy the brand new rotary mower or whatever, or real mower people tend to be a bit better about this, but if they buy the rotary mower, they take it out of the box, it's sharp, they cut the lawn with it, and they just go season after season and never sharpen the mower, and they wonder why they have disease problems, and the color of the turf never looks good. So if there's any other piece of advice I could give you, is to keep your equipment sharp. That's a big part of your lawn looking its absolute best. So again, thanks so much for joining the live stream, and also for subscribing to the channel. I really do appreciate it. If I can help with anything else, don't hesitate to reach out. Next up, we got Mr. Oliver Rittam is in the house. He says, happy Wednesday, Ron. Have a good stream tonight. Mowing while it's still going on. Nice. I like it, Oliver. The dedication. I respect it. I can respect that. I think I still got a picture of your lawn. Did I still have that on here from last week? Maybe I do. Yeah. So this is Oliver. You got to see what he's working with. I think he's in the Midwest. He's in Texas or Oklahoma, one of those states. I think Oklahoma, and this is his lawn. It probably looks better than this, how you're seeing now. But, it was waking up a week or two ago when I got these pictures from him, but yeah, he's out there, out there making it do what it do. So good job, Oliver. I like where your priorities are, sir. Have fun, enjoy the mow. Tutrilla is up next. Says, hey Ron, and happy Wednesday, everyone. Your grass is greening up nicely. Going forward, will you continue to not scalp the lawn in the spring? Here's the thing, Tutrilla, I haven't really needed to as much. So in years past, I've had to do, what you would consider a proper scalp, right? Like where you have the refuse bags all over the lawn, and it's a half day ordeal and this kind of thing. Ever since I started using the Owlet, where I'm able to, one, I started bagging all my clippings, and then second, I'm able to turf rake the lawn regularly. As far as like a lot of debris ending up in the lawn, it just really hasn't become a thing. Even over the winter months, it's not really that much of an issue. So I did lower the height of cut. I did scalp it, but not to the point where I had to go out there and get like lots of refuse bags. If you guys look at the live stream from, I think it was like late January, early February, there was one. It might actually be a thumbnail where you see a big pile of grass that's on the back patio because I didn't have enough to fill up the trash bins. So I have done a scalp already, but it hasn't had to be as aggressive, and I haven't had to take as much material out of the lawn as I have had in years past, mainly due to the change in like cultural practices as far as just managing debris in the lawn, like regular turf raking, verticutting throughout the season, and also just bagging my clippings. That's done a lot to where I just don't have to do as much. And keep in mind too, throughout the winter months, even though my lawn's dormant, I'm that guy. I'm that guy that's out there mowing dormant grass. So whenever I decided to take it down a little notch to clean things up, it doesn't take a whole lot to get it in good shape. So that's the reasoning behind it. I still do a cleanup, but it's not an aggressive scalp like what you've seen from like 3 years ago where I'm out there, all day with the True Cut doing battle with the lawns. It just hasn't been as necessary due to the change in how I've been taking care of it. It's a good question. I appreciate it. All right, next up is Larry. He is in our super chat, our first super chat of the evening. Thank you so much, sir. I really do appreciate it.
Super chat received.
He says, Ron, my workload right now. I'll take care of that area after May. I got you. He says, and which pre-emergent should I order along with the soil test kit? Go with Prodiamine. I would go with Prodiamine. So I'll show you, Larry. If you just want, I know you use mainly granular. So if you just want easy, go to the golf course lawn store, go to shop, and then weed killer, and then use the Prodiamine filter, and you can just grab a bag of it. You can grab a bag of Prodiamine. You got different sizes. This is a larger bag, and then you have some smaller options here if you want a little bit less of it. But I mean, this, go with Prodiamine is what I would say. It lasts for a long time. Great coverage, great control. That's what I would roll with. That is what I would do. That's what I use in my mulch beds, just in liquid form. That's what I would do. Especially since you're dealing with bare dirt, that will work fine for you. And because, sir, you were so generous, you are now our show's sponsor, our first super chat of the evening. So let me go and get this, get you taken care of. So there you go. Your name, once I save this, your name in lights for whatever that means to you. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the love and support. And yes, I do know what you got going on. You're kind of busy. I get it. But at some point, you got to work on your lawn. I get it. But yes, I would go with that. And I'll link it in the chat for you. You're probably like, yeah, you just pointed me to it, but you didn't actually give me the link, man. Why are you making me work hard? All right, so at Larry, and there you go. That's the link to the Prodiamine. Again, thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. All right, next up we have Richard Taylor. He says, I'm still waiting. It's still waiting gamer here in Tennessee on the green up. I have one side of the yard going in, but some other parts are dormant. I'm ready to get started, but I guess we're still waiting for more sunlight or whatever it is. Here's the thing, Richard. That's not uncommon. You've been through this, I'm sure, for a couple of seasons, so but on my lawn, the front lawn wakes up before most of the back lawn. Reason being, and I'm not sure I can really show this in the video. I think I can. Let me see here. If you look the direction I'm walking, like if you look at like where the shrub is, actually no, you can actually see it right now. You see where the shadow the shrub is casting. When the sun passes over the house, the front lawn gets a lot of sunlight. And given that it's at an angle, it's literally angled at this, it's angled at the sun, which is also kind of nice too. That also helps it with green up. It's not just straight flat. So this part of the lawn greens up faster than any other part of the lawn, and then the back lawn near the patio also greens up before the rest of the lawn too. So it's just a waiting game. This is what we have for having Bermuda grass, or I'm not sure what you have, but it's all part of it. A month from now, we'll be out there mowing and having fun and doing, living our best life. So, yeah, like you said, it's just a waiting game. Patience is the order of the day. Next up, we have someone in the live stream. Says, "What's up? What's going on here? Aloha." Not too much. Just talking about turf grass. Answering folks' questions. So if you're chiming in from Hawaii, hopefully you're doing well, and I appreciate you coming and watching the show. All right, next up is Will Covey. He says, "I was browsing your playlist the other day and was wondering if we'll get an Alex update and also a Sweet Focus RS update that you built." Yeah, so we can do an Alex update at some point during the season. We'll wait till next month to do an update. When his lawn is, it's fully greened up, looking nice, we'll give you guys an update then if you want. And the RS is long gone. The Focus RS is long gone. It was a guy in Tennessee ended up with it. I don't know where the car is now. But it was mean, man. 600 wheel horsepower. It was nasty. It's a scary. It's a fun car to drive. It is like compared to the Supra, going fast in the Supra is kind of uneventful. I mean, you just put your foot down and it just goes. The RS is because the car just felt a lot more. What's the best way to describe it? Just feels a lot more violent. Is probably the best way to say it. When the turbo comes on and just the way it digs in and goes, it's just a lot more violent experience than the Supra. The Supra's, again, it's fun, but it's just kind of like, oh, you need to put your foot down and you're going really fast there. Whereas the RS is like, it's snorting and throwing fire and just it was a fun ride, fun car. I miss that car. All right, next up is Jonathan Camarado. He says, let's see here. "I just ordered Fusillade for my front Tahoma 31 renovation this year. Thoughts on fertilizer for new grass when it goes down as sprigs? NPK are all just under optimal on the soil test." Yes, Jonathan, I have got you covered. So what I would use is this. I would go to shop and the lawn fertilizer, and I would use our 14714. This is what I would roll with, because it is not only a fertilizer that has a bit of everything, your nitrogen, your phosphorus, and your potassium, but it's got biostimulants in it as well. You got humic acid in it, a bit of kelp. So just as far as a great start for a new lawn that you're going to be growing in from sprigs, it's you can't really go wrong, and especially given that your soil test results reflect that that you need a little bit of everything, a little bit of a boost. It is what I would roll with. So here you go, at Jonathan Camarado. There you are. That is what I would use for your project. One second here. One sec. Just making a note. All right. Good stuff. So, sir, hope that helps, sir. If you have any other questions, let me know. And again, yeah, that is what I would roll with. And take pictures, man. Be sure, please take pictures. Take pictures as your lawn is now, before you burn it all down to kill it off, and then as you begin growing in from sprigs, just take pictures of it, man, because you want to be able to document the journey. All right. Next up is Jason Harrison. He says, "I use a paint shield." Yeah, so some kind of a barrier is pretty much what it comes down to. I mean, it'd be nice to think you'd want to use something more high tech, but really that's all it really takes. Just don't get the herbicide on the stuff that you want gone, and don't get the herbicide on the stuff that you don't want gone. All right, let's see here. Next up, we have Thomas Hanan. He says, "Hello, Ron. There are herbicides with 3 or 4 ingredients. What's your opinion on mixing Certainty with Sedgehammer to hit purple nut sedge or some similar combination?" I would think it's unnecessary, Thomas, in that particular case that you gave there. Certainty controls pretty much everything that Sedgehammer controls and more. So, but of the two, in my opinion, especially for warm season turf grass, Certainty is the superior option. Now, if you have a cool season lawn, then Sedgehammer would work. When it comes to mixing herbicides, really what you want to look at is, what are you trying to control? Like, what are the weeds that you're trying to go after, and what herbicides are labeled to do that? That's why I in the store, we recommend like the Celsius Certainty kit. So this combination, I think I've got it here, Celsius and Certainty, like this combination for warm season turf grass does a ton of heavy lifting. So as far as cleaning up the majority of the weeds you're going to encounter in a warm season lawn, Celsius handles your broadleaves. Certainty handles your sedges, Kalinga, and in this time of year, Annua. So it makes sense to mix those two. Mixing Certainty with Sedgehammer doesn't really make as much sense because, again, they both are designed to control sedges. And frankly, Certainty is a superior product, in my opinion, for that purpose. Especially, again, if you got a warm season lawn, use Certainty. That is absolutely what I would go with. But yeah, you're right. There are combination products like a lot of three ways, like they'll have like 2,4-D and other herbicides in them, and that's good for broadleaf control as well too. The thing you have to be cognizant of when you start mixing herbicides is, one, make sure that they, compatibility wise, they play nice together. So by doing a jar test, make sure there's no weird interactions, and then also two, you want to be you want to make note of temperature restrictions, right? So the nice thing about Celsius and Certainty, why I recommend them, why I like them so much, and why I don't feel uncomfortable like recommending them to someone for controlling weeds in their lawn, is that you can use them over a broad temperature range. You can use them with temperatures as they are now, and then when you get into summer temps, you can still use those herbicides with far less chance of causing injury to your lawn than even using like a three-way. You look at some other options out there, like that are also good herbicides. You look at like Speed Zone, Dismiss, a lot of three-ways. Great herbicides. They can do a good job cleaning up weeds, but you got to be really careful once it starts getting hot. It'll knock out the weeds, but you're going to get some discoloration in your lawn. Whereas Celsius and Certainty do not do that. So that's why I tend to like those more when I'm recommending a combination for someone that has a warm season lawn that wants good control of the majority of the kind of weeds you're going to come across. So hope that helps. Sedgehammer and Certainty, I would not mix those two. There's not really a whole lot of point to it, in my opinion. Certainty, Celsius, yes. Sedgehammer and Celsius, sure. But Certainty and Sedgehammer, I wouldn't do that. And hopefully it makes sense why, right? If you look at the labels for the two products, they're labeled to control pretty much the same things, with Certainty controlling a lot more than what Sedgehammer does, right? So that's my reason for answering that way. So I hope that makes sense, sir. If you have any other questions, do let me know. It's a good one. It's a good one about mixing herbicides. It's a good one. Great question. Next up is Lance from BK. Lance from BK. He says, hey Ron, happy Thursday. Backpack sprayer, can I calibrate, walk the lawn to see how much is left in the tank? Example, the yard is 10K and it takes 4 gallons to walk 10K. All I need to know is how much product to cover 10K. Yes. So that's, you're walking really fast, man. I'd be, that's impressive that you can cover 10,000 square feet with 4 gallons of water. The thing to keep in mind, I'm gonna answer your question, but one thing to keep in mind is, if you look at the dilution rate for most products, like fertilizer, definitely herbicides, fungicides, a lot of times the dilution rate's even more. They will often talk about 1 gallon per 1,000 square feet. So you make the product with a gallon of water, you spray that over 1,000 square feet. The reasoning for that is that allows you to have good coverage as far as doing a good job adequately covering the lawn without saturating, without using too much, without using more water than you need to, without using more carrier than you need to. So if you can truly spray 10,000 square feet with 4 gallons of water, then yeah, whatever the product label says per 1,000 square feet, you would multiply that by 10 and add that to the tank and spray the lawn. But again, 4 gallons over 10,000 square feet, that's kind of thin, man. I don't think, I personally don't see how you're getting good coverage using that. So I'll give you an example. On my lawn is around 12,000 square feet thereabouts, right? And it takes 3 tanks. So it takes a total of 12 gallons for me to spray my lawn. So for my 4-gallon sprayer will cover 4,000 square feet. And that doesn't matter whether, that doesn't make a difference whether I'm spraying like liquid fertilizer, or if I'm spraying fungicide, or if I'm doing, like, say, pre-emergent. It's still that same thing. 1 gallon over 1,000 square feet, that produces good coverage. You're getting it. You're walking pretty fast if you're able to get 4 gallons to cover 10K. And I would have to question how good the coverage is. That's a bit thin. And again, as far as calibrating the backpack sprayer, what I would do is this. Here's how I do it, right? The long short of it is, if you're doing it the way that, if you're spraying the lawn, how I teach and how I recommend doing it, and how a lot of the labels kind of expect you to do it, is you want a gallon over 1,000 square feet. So what I do is time how long it takes your sprayer at the setting, at the spray setting that you have it set at, to output a gallon of water, and however long that time is, that is what your walking pace should be over 1,000 square feet. And the way you can figure that out is you can get like some flags and tape off like or measure out a 20 by 50 foot section of your lawn. That's 1,000 square feet. And then just have, and then you can see how long it takes you to walk that. You know what I mean? But as far as knowing how long it should take, the calibration is what's going to tell you that. I have a video on sprayer calibration. I will link it here in the chat for you. I actually need to bookmark it because I have so many videos that have sprayer in them now. It's getting harder and harder to find it. Okay, yeah. So this is a video that I have. It's like a short video. It's like 3 minutes, 4-minute video that talks about how I like to go about calibrating a sprayer. And then this is hopefully you can watch this and it'll be useful for you. But again, I would revisit before you get too far into the season and you start spraying a lot of stuff on your lawn. I would make sure that it's properly calibrated, that you're spraying things at the correct rate. In the event, like I said, in the event that you can do that, you can get 4 gallons over 10,000 square feet. Kind of doubt it, but if you can do that, then yes, you are correct. You would take whatever the product you're spraying, it's the per 1,000 foot. The per 1,000 square foot rate, and multiply that by 10, and then mix accordingly. So, when folks ask about, let's see here, all I need to know is how much product to have in 4 gallons to cover 10,000 square feet. Yeah, it's not that simple. So watch that video that I just linked to you on spoon feeding, or sorry, on spoon feeding, not spoon feeding, on sprayer calibration, and that will get you on the right track. Because the way to think about it is this, Lance. Whenever you're spraying a lawn, because I get this question sometimes, and I'm partly to blame because I always say, set up your tank or set up your mixer where you're spraying 1 gallon over 1,000 square feet. But the big thing you want to pay attention to is the amount of active ingredient. For example, whenever you look at something like Celsius, right? We'll use this as an example. Like this packet, when the label will say this much active ingredient, this much of the products, in this case 0.226 ounces, over 2,000 or over 4,000 square feet, depending on the rate that you're going to be spraying it at. Now, it doesn't really matter if I mix. Let's say I'm spraying 2,000 square feet as an example, right? And I'm using one of these packets, so I'm spraying it at the high rate. It doesn't really matter if I'm mixing this in 2 gallons of water, which is what I would do, or if I decide to use 4 gallons of water with this one packet. If the 4 gallons of water goes over the 2,000 square feet, then I'm spraying it at that rate. You see what I'm saying? So it's the amount of active ingredient, the amount of herbicide, the amount of whatever product you're using per 1,000 square feet is what you want to pay attention to. The 1 gallon per 1,000 is just a good catch-all. It's a good commonly used dilution rate, but it's not like you can say, I have 4 gallons, therefore it will cover this much area. You should be looking at it as like, I'm spraying this product, I have to use this much, or in this case 0.226 ounces of Celsius, and that will cover, the way I'm spraying it, say 2,000 square feet. Do I want to dilute that with 2 gallons of water, or do I want to dilute that with 4 gallons of water or 3 gallons of water? It doesn't really matter, as long as whatever dilution rate you pick, you spray that amount of area with that much water herbicide blend. Does that make sense? And the same thing applies to fertilizers as well too. If you're doing fertilizer, if you look at the label for any bag of any liquid fertilizer, it's going to say this much, this many ounces over 1,000 square feet. So hopefully that makes sense. Watch that video on sprayer calibration, and hopefully that will help you out. In my opinion, for 10,000 square feet, you should be spraying 10 gallons of product mix. Is probably the best way of saying it. So 1 gallon will cover 4,000 square feet. Then you'll go through and fill it up again and mix up enough for covering another 4,000 square feet. And then you go back one more time and you mix up one more batch with 2 gallons of water in it. That's got enough product to cover 2,000 square feet. And that's going to give you good coverage. So hope that helps, Lance. If you need anything else, let me know. Once you watch that video, feel free to comment on it and I'll respond to you. But hopefully that makes sense as far as like sprayer calibration, and also just making sure you're spraying products correctly. Chris Dada says, can you explain the difference between urea nitrogen and ammoniacal nitrogen? That's a good question, Chris. I don't know I don't I don't know the detailed differences between the two. I know urea is a fast release nitrogen. I don't know off the top of my head if ammoniacal is. You know what? Let me look at the label for. Let me look at the label for Country Club, 'cause I think it might have ammoniacal in it, and if it has the asterisk, then I'll know whether it's slow release or not. Yeah, so I don't know that off the top of my head. Yeah, so it's also, yeah, so this is a good example. So I'll show you here. If you look at the label for the 14714, and I wonder if I can zoom in here a little bit more. Probably not. Okay. You'll see right here, anything on the label that has an asterisk, that is slower release nitrogen, right? You'll see that it's got 4.1% urea, which is faster release, and it also has ammoniacal nitrogen, which is also fast release. It's a smaller percentage of it. I don't know off the top of my head what the differences between those two are, but they are both, considered forms of faster releasing N than the wind, the water insoluble nitrogen, and the other one that's in the product. So sorry I don't have a better answer for you. That's a good question. I'll see look into it, and I will see if I can come up with something for you for next week. I don't know off the top of my head though. But you both know they're both types of faster releasing nitrogen, that type of N. So good question. Good question. I will dig into it. I should take a screenshot of that. It's a good one. It's a good question. All right, next up is Jay Bear. He says, Wednesday, very sneaky, very sneaky. I said it was going to be Wednesday. Granted, it was the end of the live stream, but I did say it was going to be Wednesday. I can tell you didn't know, though, because normally after I post it, within the hour anyway, you come in and you say, hey, what's going on, Ron? What's going on? Have a great stream. Like literally as soon as I posted. So I know you didn't know it was going to be Wednesday, Jackie. But again, I appreciate you showing up on a Wednesday night anyway. Higgy Pop is up. He says, hey, happy Wednesday. Let's all hit the like button. It's free. Let's do that, guys. If you've not hit the like button, we got 114 folks in here right now. Only 86 likes. This makes me sad. So if you guys wouldn't mind hitting the like button, I would really, really appreciate it. Costs you absolutely nothing. It's a free way to support the channel. All right, next up is Noek95. Says, pH has been going up over the past 3 years from 5.0 to 6.8. Should I start looking for products to lower pH so it doesn't go over 7.5? If so, what products are recommended? I would look at what you're putting into the lawn that's causing the pH to trend upwards. Here's the thing, Noek95, 6.8 is still decent. That's still right. You're still right there in the Goldilocks zone. I really wouldn't be concerned about that. If you are looking, so if you're adding lime, I guess what I'm trying to say, if you're putting lime on the lawn regularly, that is what's causing your pH to go up. If you are looking to lower your soil pH, you can use a sulfur. That will help. That will help bring it down. So if you want something to look at, I've got one here. Yes, this one right here. I'll link it to you here in the chat. This is a sulfur product that you can apply to the lawn that will help lower your soil pH, but I wouldn't do it at this point. 6.8 is good. I mean, there's a lot of people that would kill to have 6.8 pH. So I really wouldn't do anything at this point. If you test, let's say you test, I don't know, in the fall, right? And you're seeing now it goes from 6.8 to 6.9 or 7. Okay, then that's when you'd want to start looking at some amendments to help bring that down. But I really wouldn't mess with it too much. Again, 6.8 is still in a pretty good spot. But again, that product I'll just link to you in the chat. That sulfate will help you out as far as lowering the pH. And I would also ask yourself, if it's over the past 3 years, it's been trending up, like what have you been doing? What inputs have you been putting into the soil that could be potentially causing that, right? So, yeah, if you're doing lime apps at this point, I would stop. If you're using lime to help bring your pH up, the lime has worked. It's gotten you to the Goldilocks zone. No more lime at this point. So, hope that helps, Noek. If you need anything else, let me know. But yeah, that's I imagine you're probably doing lime apps because you're trying to correct the low pH. You just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. You've won. So now it is time to maybe this for this season. If you're gonna put lime down, back it down some. So say you're applying it, let's say 30 pounds per 1,000. Maybe just put out like 10 pounds, something really light, just a taste. I might not do anything. But if you're still going to put a lime out, just really back the rate down so we're not really trying to actively raise that soil pH any further. All right, next up is Vahid Navi. He says, hey, if I see on my soil test report I should apply 3 pounds per year, can you tell me how much should I apply my liquid fertilizer? Yeah, so so Vahid, on the label, it should tell you how, like when you put X number of ounces, like it should tell you how much nitrogen you're putting into the plant when you use this many ounces. So for example, on the label for Turfplex, it will say like 6 ounces is going to put 0.10, so a tenth of an ounce of nitrogen into the plant. So the fertilizer you're using should have something like that should tell you what how much N you're applying. The big thing I'd say is that if you look at they give you a couple of different options as far as application rates. Given you said you're only doing 3 pounds per year, I imagine you likely have some kind of cool season grass. Just whatever is on the label, stick to the lower end of it. Like don't, if it gives you a rate for quarter pound, half a pound, that'd be a lot, but like say, if it gives you 3 options for rates, go with the lower rates. And what I would say is this: spray the lower rates, either once a month or every couple of weeks, depending on what kind of program you're on, and observe the turf. Look at how it looks. If it looks good, and you're going with the lower rate, stick with that. Just keep doing that. You know what I mean? And then in the fall, if you do another soil test, you can look at your nutrient levels and say, well, yeah, I was doing, this rate throughout the entire season. The lawn looked great, and then my soil test results reflected that I either raised my levels a little bit or whatever. But I mean, I would let without getting too getting too much in the weeds. I would start with the low rates, spray the lawn with that, see how it responds, and then if you like how it looks, just stick with that. Don't always go high. If you look at like even what I do with my program, like most people that feed a Bermuda lawn, starting like next month, will start putting out a pound of nitrogen per month. Like it's a pound of N per month. That's what Bermuda needs to look its absolute best. And I think I've proven that you don't have to do that. Like if you work on improving the soil quality, like using a good biostimulant program to where you're making the most out of any inputs, you can get by with putting less fertilizer in and still getting a really good stand of turf grass. You know what I mean? So I would start low and monitor just visually like how the turf is looking, and then soil test again. Could be over the summer or over the fall, whatever you decide to, and then based on that, you'll be able to determine like if what you were doing worked well. So hope that helps, sir. The label should have some guidance, so as far as how much N you're putting in with this many ounces of the product. So hope that helps. All right, next up we have a super chat. This is a different one I haven't gotten before, but I'll take it. From Zaki, he says,
super chat.
He says, "What's your favorite thing in your office and why?" Oh man, what is the favorite thing in my office? Favorite thing. I have a couple of. I don't have like a favorite thing. Really like the mower. I like my outlet. I like my I can get some light on it. Can't have you in the dark there. Yeah. So I like my outlet. The the limited edition one that I got as part of the for the charity that we donated to. Like that is probably the most special thing in my office, because pretty much everything, I mean, outside of pictures pictures of like friends and family, that kind of thing, but outside of that, pretty much everything else in here could be replaced except for that, right? So that's like a one of one. So that is near and dear to my heart. I'm really, really happy that we were able to win it, and again, also do it by donating to a good cause. And then outside of that, I don't know. Probably my I like my camera equipment. I like good glass. Love my lenses and whatnot. So I've got some decent glass, camera equipment, that kind of thing. But if I had to say like one thing, if I had to pick one thing, probably the Sterling, the Jubilee edition of Sterling. So because again, you can't get another one. There's only one of them in existence. So that would probably be it from like just an item. From a tech standpoint, I don't know. I mean, my cameras, but I'm not someone that really is in. And while I like cameras and I like technology, they're all just tools. I don't really fall in love with them. It's like it works until it works, until I need to get something that works a bit better, and then I'll upgrade it. But I mean, that I can't really replace, can't really upgrade it, right? So probably the mower, I'd have to say. Great question. I have not been asked that one before. Thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it. Next up is Eddie A. He says, "Hey Ron, I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge. You are very welcome, Eddie. I really appreciate you showing up, taking some time out of your busy, Wednesday evening. You could be out doing a whole lot of other stuff, you know, but no, you're here. I appreciate that." And then next up is Eden. We got someone new in the live stream. What's up, Eden? It says, "New homeowner. Congrats on the new home," which I'm hoping a lawn came with the new home, hence why you're here. He says, what mower, I think you're asking, what mower should I get for a small residential home with Bermuda grass in South Texas? Which mower to get? The age-old question. So I would say it depends on how much time you have, Eden. If you are someone that only wants to get out and mow the lawn once a week, once every 10 days, whatever, then a rotary mower is going to be less commitment. They are less expensive, kind of. They're getting more expensive now, but a rotary mower is going to be a great option to go with. If you want electric, I'm not an expert on like electric rotary mowers. I know like the people that have the egos seem to really like them. So you could look at that. If you're going to go with a gas powered mower, you can't really go wrong with Toro. So I would look into one of those. So if you're looking rotary and electric, go look at the Ego's offering. And if you're looking at gas powered Toro, if you said, "No, I'm here because I want that shortcut grass, I want to be about that life," one, know what you're signing up for, because while having a lawn that looks great, my lawn doesn't look like great now. It's not looking its best now, but having a lawn that looks like, so I can find a picture of Robert's lawn. Robert's lawn is better than mine. I'm sorry, I have a picture of it. But having a real mowing sounds like a lot of fun. It seems really cool, but it is a time commitment, meaning that you have to carve out time. Really, twice per week is what it's going to take, on the low end during the summer months, to really keep the lawn looking good. So you have to enjoy mowing. You have to be someone where like being out in the lawn, working in the lawn is like your Zen thing. Where some people, they hate mowing grass, like it's a thing they just do because they got to do it. If mowing is something you just enjoy, like I love mowing, I'll get and just mow just to mow. Then real mowing is as far as if you want like an amazing lawn, like you can cut it lower. It's healthier for the turf. It just looks incredible. It's really tough to beat a real mower. If you say, "You know what, I want to try real mowing," what I would say to start out with, get a manual push reel mower. You didn't see how big your lawn is. You said it's a small residential home, so I'm thinking there's a smaller lawn that goes with it. A small residential reel mower is what I would look at. A small push reel mower. And the reason for that is not because you're necessarily going to stick with it, right? It's more so to see if real mowing is for you. If having to get out there, a couple times per week and mowing your lawn is something you're really going to want to commit to before you go out and drop, $1,000, $2,000 on like a powered mower. You can see if it's your thing. So if you're going to do that, what I would go with is one of these guys. I'll show you right here. I'll link it in the chat too, but I'll show you all as well what I'm talking about. This is a manual reel mower from Scott's. It's a 7-blade. Believe it or not, my lawn is 12,000 or so square feet. I used to mow my entire lawn a couple times per week with one of these. So imagine that, mowing like 12,000 square feet with an 18-inch mower. I know, crazy talk. So I would start with something like this if you decide you want to look into real mowing, because again, it's like training wheels to see, hey, do I like the process? Do I like having to be out in the lawn and do this? Because if you enjoy that and you like the results you get with it, then when you go to a powered mower, it's like the sky's the limit. It's like the level of cut from a rotary mower to that mower is going to be a lot nicer, and then you go from a push reel mower like that to a powered reel mower, it's like next level. It's next level. But I wouldn't want to send you out there and get, put a bunch of money into something and not know that it's something that you really want to do. So yeah, again, congrats on the house. I would look at either a quality rotary mower. Can't go wrong with a Toro. And if you're looking at a push reel mower, that one from Scott's, a 7-blade, is a good option as well too. I'm also going to link, I have a guide. It's a beginner's guide to lawn care. I'm assuming you need a lawn care. Maybe you're not. Maybe you already know what you're doing. But I'll link that here in the chat for you as well. It's free to read. Doesn't cost you anything. You have to sign up for it or any kind of mailing list or like that. You it's on the internet. You can look at it. And this guide will give you. It talks about taking care of of a lawn from this perspective, right? From from like someone that's trying to get that golf course lawn look, like the whole idea behind a herbicide control, a weed control program, like using pre-emergent, the mowing, the nutrients. Like it just gives you a good primer into what it takes to grow a great lawn, and I think you'll get some. I think you'll get some value out of it. But yeah, if you can't go wrong with a quality rotary mower. But I am partial to real mowing. I am. I mean, I can't. I'll be lying to you if I told you that I wouldn't try and push you that way. Beginner's Guide to Lawn Care. All right. So there is that, and I'm trying to find a domination picture of Robert's lawn. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so if you want a lawn that looks like that, that is where that's what real mowing can do. So I mean, that looks insane, looks incredible. But that's using a proper piece of equipment. That's using a powered reel mower. Robert's out there a couple times per week, a few times per week during the growing season to make it look like that. And it looks incredible. But it's like anything else in life. The more time you put into it, the better it's going to look. And the thing with reel mowing is it requires that time commitment, because you can't get out there and reel mow once every 2 weeks. The lawn's just not going to look good if you do that. So yeah, I hope that helps. Give you some things to think about. Rotary, nothing wrong with starting out with a rotary mower and just seeing how that works. A push manual reel mower is a good option too. You never have to buy gas for it. Whenever you want to mow, you just take it out of the garage and you can just get out there and go do it. But yeah, I am partial to reel mowing. That is where eventually I'm going to try and get you to go, because reel mowing is awesome. I don't care what anybody says. It makes lawns look incredible. So full stop. Hope that helps. If you have any other questions, let me know. Dev is in the house. He says, Wednesday Turf Talk. Today is my Friday, so it works for me. Nice, man. Yeah, Friday I got something I got to do, so we're doing it tonight. Thanks for coming to hang out, Devin. And here's the thing. I don't have a picture of Devin's lawn from last year, but you can. I don't want to sell sell a rotary mowed lawn short. Like last year, we had a contest of best looking lawn, and Devin, the guy that's on right now, won it from the cool season lawn perspective. And I'm trying to find the picture, because we had the contest and his lawn was mowed with a rotary mower. Granted, he's also a beast. I mean, he runs a golf course, so he knows what he's doing as far as that goes. But oh yeah, here we go. So as far as what you can do with a rotary mower, I'm sitting there talking about I'm seeing all the praises of real mowers. But I'm going to show you here. Rotaries that's kept sharp in the right hands can do some work too. So this is his lawn from last season. This was his winning entry from last year, and this is rotary mowed. I think it's Kentucky bluegrass, which looks pretty solid. I think most people would appreciate and like that, right? So if you decide, hey, real mowing maybe too much, you can still get a great looking lawn. Pretty much the general rule is, Eden, the more often you mow it, the better it's going to look. So hope that helps. Devin, again, thanks for coming to hang out and live stream. Appreciate you. And the next up is Eden. She says, also, we saw you use a metal rake for flattening the lawn. Do you have a link? Okay, so you're going there. You already drank the Kool-Aid. You're going to be top dressing and all this kind of stuff, right? Okay, so the rake that I use is from a company called R&R Products. There's also another rake that I recommend as well that folks like. That is the pricing on them is actually somewhat closer now to where there's not really that much in it. But it's from R&R is the one that I'm using, and then this is an option from Standard Golf. I think it's still available online. Yeah, see, these have gone up. You may have to go get the R&R, because I think for that price you might be able to get one. So I give you two options, Eden. This is leveling. This is my leveling. This is leveling rake that I've recommended to a lot of folks, and they really like the results they've gotten with it. So leveling rake 1. And then the other one, I'm gonna have to go on their website and try and find it. But it's yeah, I like that one too. I don't know. I'm not sure what they're currently going for. But let's see, leveling. Oh man, their website. This website has always been slow, and it still is bloody slow. I don't know why. Yeah, actually, you know what? Their rake's even cheaper. You better just go do this. So this one, 36 inch is even less than that one that is linked to you that's on Amazon. And this is a slightly smaller version. Mine is a 40-inch rake. This one that I'm going to link to you in the chat is a 36-inch rake, and it's like 120 bucks. I don't know if that includes shipping. I mean, so shipping, they might get you on that. But other, I'll say our leveling rake. This is the one that that I have. But mine is the 40-inch version of that. But yes, so you can look at either one of those. You can decide, and there you go. You're going hog wild. So I guess a real mower is going to be in your life. And I saw you had a question there, Terrence. What mower does Devin have? He has a Toro Greensmaster. He has a Toro Greensmaster. Actually, give me 1 second here. I can actually show you his mower. I think I can make this happen. Let me see. If I come over to here and get rid of this. This is a different scene, but this is his greens mower that I believe he sent to me. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, so this is it. That's his mower. Greensmaster with the groomer on it. Pretty sick. Looks clean. That is his that is, I guess, what are the cool kids saying these days? That's his whip. That's what he's rolling with. That's his long whip. So that's what he has. All right. Next up, we have Eddie A. He says, I am currently waiting on certainty to arrive. I'll be mixing certainty and Celsius to spray my lawn. I put down Let's Go Pre-emergent about 2.5 weeks ago. Noticed POA and a blanket type of weeds. Yeah, I don't know what the blanket type of weeds are. It could be clover, could be a lot of different things. Yeah, so yeah, you get your pre-emergent out. That's good. And then if you're primarily concerned with POA, don't use Celsius. Just use the certainty for that. Use the certainty. And again, it sounds like a broken record. I say this every single week. If you're going to try and control POA with certainty this time of year, you have to spray it at the higher rates. So it's a rate that I find works well is 1 large scoop and 2 small scoops per 1,000 square feet. That does a pretty good job, along with some surfactant of controlling POA this time of year. So the big thing is if you spray at too low a rate, you're not gonna get a result. You'll give it a slight black eye. You'll yellow it up a little bit. And it'll just keep doing its thing. So you got to spray at higher rates if you're going to go after POA this time of year with certainty. So hope that helps. All right. So on the Instagram, we have a question, a comment. It says, hey, Ron, 2 of them. It says, Ron, spreader recommendations. I got nice POA stripes on my front lawn. Yeah, so the spreader that I am a fan of is one from Earthway. It's the Earthway 2050P. And I always tell you guys, I like that spreader so much. I got one. I think I got my first one in 2017 or 2018. And I like it so much that I gave that one to my neighbor, Alex. He's still using it. And I bought another one of the exact same model. So I like it that much. So the Earthway 2050P, that is the one that I would go with if I were in the market for a spreader. And here's the reason why. It's a great prosumer type spreader. Like, it's got air-filled tires, well, good solid construction. And because it's considered like an entry-level pro-level spreader, when you go out and you go buy a bag of Headway or a Celiprin or a Lebanon fertilizer, or any professional fertilizer, even if you go to any of your local stores that sell more pro grade products, you'll find a spreader calibration for the Earthway. But you won't find one for Scott spreaders. So for that reason alone, you don't have to go and consult spreader calibration charts. Just go out and get an Earthway, and you're not gonna break it. Great spreader. So here's a link to it. Apologies, guys. I'm still getting over the cold, but yeah, that's what I would go with. And the other question you had is a Bermuda lawn in North Houston, lots of shade. Wife won't let me clear up the trees. Happy wife, happy life. I mean, I get it. You want the grass, but man, you want the wife to be happy. So I get it. 3 years here, and the lawn gets worse and worse. Anything I can do to help repair it, or go to Zoysia? You could try going to Zoysia, but Zoysia needs sunlight too. It needs direct sunlight. So if she won't let you, you can't raise the canopy, maybe just ask her if you can like cut the trees back some. You have to cut them all the way down, but if you can cut them back a bit to where you can get some more light on the lawn, that will help it. But with what you're saying is getting worse and worse every year. The shade is taking its toll on the lawn, and Bermuda is just, regardless of what anyone tells you, like Bermuda does not do well in the shade. Like Bermuda and shade is like mayonnaise and ice cream. It just doesn't go together. There's not really a thing as shade tolerant Bermuda grass. Zoysia is more shade tolerant than Bermuda, but it does need sunlight. You know what I mean? It's gonna look better with more sunlight. So you could try going to Zoysia. That could be an expensive experiment if the Zoysia doesn't take. But the one good thing you have going for you is that the Bermuda is unlikely to compete with it, right? So it's not like you're going to be, if you kill off the Bermuda lawn and put the Zoysia in, at least in the area where that's heavily shaded, the Zoysia really shouldn't have a difficult time establishing, assuming you're getting enough sunlight, because the Bermuda is not going to be really growing to fight with it. So if you want a warm season grass and you want, you're sold on that, Zoysia would be a great option. Outside of that, you have to look into some kind of a fescue, like a turf type tall fescue, or I believe fine fescue is very shade tolerant. So look at like fine fescue if you're looking to have grass and in an area where you have a lot of shade. But Zoysia's worth looking into, but it still needs sunlight. It still needs sunlight. And again, Zoysia's not cheap, so it could be an expensive experiment if it doesn't work out. So hope that helps. The spreader I'd recommend is the Earthway 2050P. It's a great spreader. It's the one I use. And if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, next up we have Angelica Arnaldi. It says, my soil test results came back low on all NPK. What do you recommend? Yes, I recommend a fertilizer with all 3 macros then, Angelica. We got a couple of them. What I would say to go with is this guy. The Complete 14-7-14. It's got nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. It'd be interesting to see the soil test results to see what the curve looks like, to see if they're all equally low, or if, maybe your nitrogen and potassium are low, but the phosphorus is a little bit low. This would be a great choice. This has, again, all the macros, and it also has some micronutrient like your iron. I think, you know what? I'm guessing. Why don't I just look? It's way easier here just to do that, right? Instead of like guessing. I can tell you what's in it. So it's got 2% iron in it as well. It's got magnesium, and it's got some manganese. So you got some micronutrient and in addition to your macros, and also some humic acid and kelp. So what does all that mean? What that means is it's not just fertilizer. It's also fertilizer, a biostimulant. It's a nice, complete, well-rounded product that is gonna help improve the quality of your soil, and then by extension, the quality of your lawn. So I'll send you a link to that. If you're interested, Angelica, that is what I would roll with on your lawn. And if you need any help, anything else, don't hesitate to reach out. It's a great product, folks. It's been people have really liked it, like the results they've gotten with it. If my lawn needed phosphorus, it doesn't. But if my lawn needed phosphorus, that is the fertilizer that I would use in my spoon feeding program. I would not use Humic Max, and I would use the Complete 14-7-14. So it's a great option. And you said you live in Raleigh, North Carolina. Same answer. That's the one that I would go with. And then Robert Rainey saying hardscape, Larry, rock. Yeah, he could do. That's a good point too, Robert. So you see, Larry, I'm trying to give you hard mode. Robert is a more reasonable person. He's saying, you know what, instead of doing, grass and mulch beds, just put rocks in there. That's a good point. Good call, Robert. Rocks can look really nice. Just something to kind of decorate that, kind of clean that up a little bit. I mean, the grass looks so good. And then you got this section here. You could just do some rock in there, and that, some gravel. That would look nice. And then you could, if you needed to every now and then, you could come and just, smack it with not like some Roundup, some glyphosate if you needed to here and there when it required it. But at least it looks nice then. It looks nicer. And that's a good call, Robert. I hear you. I like that. I like that suggestion. All right, next we have Joshua Duarte. Says, I'm a new homeowner, another new homeowner. Very cool. And I have Bermuda grass. Lucky you. And I'm in Texas. What type of lawnmower should I get as a first-time buyer? Also, I love the vid. So I just answered this question. Hopefully you're watching, Joshua. It depends on how much time you have. If you want to reel mow, I would say get a manual push reel mower first to start, to make sure that it's really something you want to do, because the gas-powered ones are expensive. You're talking a couple $1,000s for one of those, and I wouldn't want you to go out and do that until you know it's something you really want to commit to. Outside of that, a good powered rotary, like an electric, look at the Egos. People seem to really like those. And then if you're going to go with a gas-powered rotary mower, look at the offerings from Toro. So they make great equipment. one of my real mowers is a Toro. It's an awesome mower. It's the best cutting mower that I currently have. And yeah, so yeah, for a rotary, Toro or Ego. And if you're going if you're going real mower, then I would say go with a push mower to start. Unless you're saying, you know what, Ron, I don't need any training wheels. I am bad. I know what I'm doing. I want, like bring the noise, bring the pain. In that case, if you're in the market for a powered reel mower, I would look really hard at that new offering from Reel Rollers, the Revolution 26. That if I were in the market for a reel mower today, and I wanted to spend under $3,000, that's what I would buy, because it literally has, like, you take like some of the best parts of greens mowers and some of the best parts of like lower end gas powered reel mowers, and it puts all that together. Plus it comes with a nice solid grooved roller. It's got like fins for the grass catcher to make sure the grass grows evenly. I mean, there's a lot of work has been done. It's almost like if you could, whenever you buy a car, I'm kind of going on a tangent on this, but we'll kind of work with me on this. If you're a car person, you know what I'm talking about. Whenever you go buy a car, right? There's often the car that the accountants want the company to make, and then there is the car that the engineers wanted to build. For example, if you look at like a base Porsche 911, that is like the car that for the most part the accountants will sell, or like the Carrera or SUV. That's like the car the accountants want them to sell because that's what keeps the lights on, right? Now, if you look at like a 911 Turbo or a GT3 or like a GT3 RS, like the car the engineers wanted to build, the Revolution 26 for real mowers, especially at its price point, is like that. It's like it's if you took like a bunch of guys and said, hey, listen, you got $3,000 to spend, you got to build a gas powered reel mower, and you got to take the best parts of a lot of different reel mowers and make it at a price everyone can afford. That's what the Revolution is, because it's got a lot of inspiration from greens mowers, a lot of inspiration from lower end mowers, and it puts it all together in a really solid system that cuts great and is not a pain to live with. Like as far as like sharpening it, backlapping it, like you take a cover off, there's absolutely nothing to disassemble on it. So I say all this to say that if you're going to go out and buy a power reel mower, look at the Revolution 26. And if not, then any of the other ones that I recommended that still stand. So hope that helps, Joshua. Congrats on the new house. And I got to tell you, I got to warn you, I'm a bad influence when it comes to your lawn. I am not the kind of guy you want to follow or listen to or subscribe to if you're not trying to spend a lot of time out in the lawn. So if that's you, I mean, you keep messing with me, you can be out there top dressing it and real mowing, and you have like a spoon feeding program and all this kind of stuff, man. So we gotta warn you. You gotta be careful what you're walking into. But again, congrats on the new house and the new lawn. All right, next up is Lewis P86. Says, been busy with work and family, and I've practically neglected my lawn. Say less. I've got weeds from dandelions to poa in my Bermuda. Any suggestions on post and pre-emergents? Is it too late for pre-emergent? Thanks. It's not too late for pre-emergent, Lewis. You can still apply it. It's later than I would have liked to get it done, but you're still going to get some benefits of putting some pre-emergent out. So yes, I would still apply a pre-emergent. What I would apply, you didn't say where you are in the country. You didn't say this time of year. Go with dimension. Go with dithiopyr. The reason being is that dithiopyr has the ability to control young crabgrass, which it's still a little bit early for that. But if we start having any crabgrass germinating, it can give you some coverage there, whereas prodiamine will not. So for your pre-emergent, I'll give you a link to where you can find those on the Golf Course Lawn Store. But I would push you a couple of options for ground. You've got Dimension. Again, this is the product I was telling you about, where you've got prodiamine. Either one of these will work well. This is just a straight pre-emergent. This is a pre-emergent with very light post-emergent properties for some types of weeds. So this late in the season, Dimension would be a good option if you're looking for a pre-emergent. As far as post-emergent herbicides, what I would say, you got Bermuda, you got dandelions to poa. So yeah, so what I would say for Proannua, Certainty; for dandelions, for broadleaf weeds, Celsius. So the nice thing is we have a kit here that has Celsius and Certainty, surfactant, dye. It contains all the goodness, all the trimmings. It's enough to treat a couple of acres. So you buy this and you're not going to buy herbicides for several years. But if you have a smaller lawn, you could go with Certainty, or you could get Certainty, surfactant, and just get like the Celsius in the individual packets. that's less to measure, easier to measure, and that will work well too. So based on what you're describing, that is what I would do. I would use a combination of, I would do the pre-emergent. Absolutely, I would absolutely get that down. And then I would use certainty for the annua, and then Celsius for the broadleaf control. And again, like I said, use a bit of surfactant with them for best results. You can get all of those in the weed killer section on the golf course lawn store. So I'll link that to you now, and hopefully you get some value out of that. And it's okay, man. We're not going to beat you up too much on neglecting your lawn, because you know what? You acknowledged it. You know what you did wasn't right, and maybe time busy with work and everything else, but you're trying to turn it around now. So we'll just forget where we were, and we'll just take this moment to now begin again with a good plan that's going to put us in a better spot going forward. Right? Good stuff. All right. Next up is our fragrance journey. He says, "Hey Ron," you again. You got me. Hey Ron, whatever that term is, I'm not going to say. Thanks to you, I'm the neighborhood lawn professional, and everyone wants my help. Hashtag Goat Ron. Now, here's the thing. All we got to do is improve your taste in football teams, and we're going to be good to go. If we could just fix that one thing, if you can come over to the Georgia Bulldogs, I mean, then you'd be in good shape. But I mean, if you want to see back in them, then, I guess no one's perfect. So, but I'm glad to hear that the content is useful, that you get a lot of value out of it, and that you are that go-to guy in the neighborhood to help folks out as far as getting their lawns in order. Really, really good stuff. So I appreciate it. All right, next up we have Bullseye Farm. It says, I live in Arkansas and I have zoysia and it's 75% green. And I put down pre-emergent and I put out a triple 13. What's my next step, and when do I need to start watering? So what I would say, Bullseye Farm, this time of year in the spring, you tend to get a lot enough from rain, from just rainfall to not have to run a regular irrigation cycle. If your lawn is 75% green, you're starting to get out there, you're looking at mowing it. An inch of water per week is what Bermuda, zoysia, those types of grasses need to really look their best. So if you're not getting that from rainfall, you can start an irrigation cycle. And then, so you already put your fertilizer down, you've already got your pre-emergent out, and just you're gonna mow it. So yeah, just keep doing that. I mean, if it depends on what you're planning to do with your program, right? I'm a fan of feeding the lawn regularly. So once per month I put out a granular, twice per month I spray liquids at very light rates. You can consider doing that, but you're already doing a lot of the right things. I mean, a good fertilizer and then mowing regularly is going to be the thing that's going to make your lawn look great. So yeah, I hope that helps. I mean, I can show you some of the liquids that I use as far as my program goes. If you go to shop and the lawn fertilizer on the golf course lawn store, you will see this kit, which is we call the 901C carbon kit, something we worked with Mermaid Green on putting together for us. And it contains two products that are liquid and one that you make into a liquid. You have release 901C, which is a 9% nitrogen, 1% potassium combination of micronutrient, micronized carbon product, and it's got obviously some fertilizer in it. And then you've got NutriKelp, which has a bit of fertilizer in it, little trace amounts of nitrogen, phosphorus, and mostly potassium, along with 24% kelp. So it's a great product for improving just plant hardiness, improving stress resistance. And then finally, you have BioSpectrum, which is a soil microbial food. The nice thing about this is you can mix all of these together. They're all designed to be mixed together, and spray them, and you're done. You don't have to water them in or anything like that. And what that's going to help do is going to help improve just visually the color of your turf grass. You're really going to like the way your lawn looks using the carbon kit. It's something that I spray on my lawn twice per week. So if you're looking to up your game on top of what you're already doing, that is something that I would look into. You're going to like the result that you get with adding that to your program. And again, you're already doing great stuff, man. You already got your pre-emergent out, your fertilizers down, and you're good to go. So if you can help with anything else, let me know. But I just sent you a link to that, to the carbon kit, that liquid program that you can start adding into what you're doing. We got a super chat, man. Real Rollers has entered the live stream. Here we go. Put your children away. Here we go.
Super chat.
He says, put your rotary mowers away. It's probably a better way of saying it. Put your rotary mowers away. They're here. They're going to take over. He says, thank you for your help today at the turf park. You're very welcome. He says, the combo pack was the way to go. Please put LG and lights on my behalf. I can do that. I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. I can actually share you and Larry. Actually, you know what? I mean, you're a penny down, but it's okay. We'll satisfy the request. We'll say we're gonna leave Larry up because Larry and LG. Actually, that's wrong. That's programming. It's programming Rare Ugly Head. Just one ad. Okay. Yeah. So LG and Larry, your name in lights, what it means to you, courtesy of Real Rollers. You're very, very welcome, Lee. The Bermuda is looking killer. It's actually, Overseeding Bermuda is looking awesome right now. If you guys want to see an amazing stand of Overseeding Bermuda, go check out the turf park, man. Go stop by Real Rollers and look at that. It looks clean. Looks nice. I wholeheartedly endorse and co-sign that look. It looks pretty awesome. And again, if you guys are looking for a powered rotary, powered reel mower, then ask Real Rollers. Look at them. Again, the Revolution 26 is a pretty nice bit of kit, and I think it's really going to be well received. All right. Next up we have Next up we have Elisa Petty in the house. She says, "Hey Ron, I asked you about the discoloration of my lawn, and as you indicated, it has greened up nicely. Thanks to the expertise. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that that it was useful. That we got you on the right track. Glad to hear the lawn's doing better. It's always good." Justin Judkins. He says, "Paisley rating from my Revolution 26. Hashtag R26. This will be my first powered reel mower." You picked a good one, man. It's a good one to start with. "I want to lay down some nasty stripes, not just nice stripes, some nasty stripes." You want to be that guy, huh? "Should I mow in the same direction every mow? Can I mow opposite directions?" It's a good question, Justin. So what I would say is it's good to vary your mowing pattern each time. If I have a picture, like a good picture of my lawn, actually, see if I can find one from last year when it actually looked decent. You know the video of the live stream, the intro video of the live stream at the end where you see like that checkerboard pattern on my lawn? Actually, you know what? I can show you. I can show you a good picture of it. I know exactly where I can find one in that blog post on spoon feeding. So let me find that real quick and I'll show you what I'm talking about. We can talk about mowing, spoon feeding lawn. All right, cool. So this guy here, okay, yeah. So this picture here, if you take a look, this, if you look at that was my lawn last year. That checkerboard pattern, every time you see a light stripe, meaning where, it's the mowers walking away from where we're looking, I mow on that same line every time when I mow in that direction. And then whenever I mow like away from the house, right? The stripes where the other part of the hash, I mow on the same pattern or on the same lines each time, if that makes sense. I'm not doing a great job explaining this, but hopefully I can. Let me show you really quick if I can show in the video here. No, that's not. Yeah, this is a decent video. As long as it doesn't look that great, but I can still show you. No. So I have a better one to be able to show you. Yeah, okay, this is a decent one. The lawn looks better than this today, so don't judge me. This was a couple weeks ago. Okay, so as far as mowing, you see the light stripes? Every time I mow the lawn in this direction, I go over the same stripes. So the light stripes you see going away, like I make my these are double wide, so I make the passes always the same way when I mow in this direction. And then when I mow, perpendicular or 90 degrees to this, like you see in this picture here, I mow on the same lines each time. So I vary the mowing pattern. I do vary it. So one time I'll mow lengthwise, and then the other time I'll mow 90 degrees to that. But when I do mow, I mow on the same lines, if that makes sense. So in other words, I'm trying to burn those lines in and really keep the lawn, really make the stripes pop, really make it look good. The positive to doing that is that it makes for as what you want. You want killer stripes, that's how you get it. The negative to doing that is that along the edges of each stripe, you will tend to end up with a little bit more wear there than you will find in the middle of the stripe. So every other year you may have to top dress and just kind of, slightly fix or address those wear ruts that you'll invariably get in the lawn because of the fact that the roller or the ends of the roller are always going over pretty much the same areas. It's not a big problem, especially with you having something like the Revolution 26. It's not going to be a big issue because of how the weight is distributed with that mower. Like with a True Cut, my True Cut, if I did that, you would see like channels. You would literally see like two lines from the back wheels, and it looks kind of ugly. Whereas if you're dealing with a mower like the Revolution or a greens mower, you will eventually get some wear marks, but it's not going to happen nearly as quickly as you would with, say, like a California trimmer or a True Cut or any mower where you don't have a large rear drum and a large roller in front, where the weight is as much as possible evenly distributed, if that makes sense. So I would vary your mowing pattern each time. If you want like really defined stripes, pick up a stripe pattern and stick to that and just mow on that stripe pattern each time. Just know that you are going to have to do some top dressing, occasionally once every other year or so to address any slight ruts that you may cause by doing this strategy. But it looks pretty awesome, so I think it's worth it. And congrats on the new mower. Once you get it, take some pictures. Let me know. Next up is a question we have on Instagram. He says, emailed you my lawn. Easy go on me. Go easy on me. Now listen, your lawn is not gonna be the worst one I've ever seen. I'm sure it's gonna be fine. I'll take a look at it after the live stream and I'll email you what I think. But the question is, would top dressing with the Miramichi compost encourage lateral growth? It's gonna encourage growth in general. Yes, it'll encourage top growth, lateral growth, root growth. It's just a great product as far as just organically improving the quality of your soil, which is going to improve how the grass does. So it's not like growth regulator where it promotes lateral growth, but it is still, or like real mowing that helps promote lateral growth. But it's going to enhance the quality of your turf grass. I mean, lateral growth really, I mean, if you're being honest, really like real mowing, like mowing low and regularly, that's going to encourage the lawn to grow, like a grass like Bermuda to grow laterally. And then if you enhance it with growth regulator, that's going to increase the density and also help with promoting lateral growth. Reason being is that if you think about it, like the grass is a plant, it just wants to catch sunlight, right? And if you allow the grass to get 3 inches long, then there's plenty of stalk and plenty of leaf, and there's no reason for it to really creep a whole lot, right? Because it's got plenty of leaf out there to catch sunlight, and it's just living its best life, right? But if you're one of these crazy people like us, and you keep mowing it all the time, like you're real mowing it, and you keep cutting it low and cutting it low and cutting it low, Bermuda says, I mean, it doesn't really say this, but it kind of says this. It says, this crazy person keeps cutting me off all the time. I can't grow tall, and I still need to get sunlight to be able to do well. So I'm going to adapt, and I'm going to start growing sideways. So you start promoting more lateral growth by mowing your lawn regularly, especially at lower heights for grasses like Bermuda, zoysia, like those types of grasses. So yeah, hope that helps. I'll take a look at your email after the live stream, and I'll give you an answer. And yes, I will go easy on you. Great question. All right, next up we have Colby Taylor. He's in the house. He says, according to my soil test, I was very low on phosphorus. My soil recommended using a new lawn starter fertilizer 27.5. Should I continue using that throughout the entire season? Thanks again, my friend. Sure, that would be an option if you are. It's got plenty of phosphorus in it. What you could do, Colby, I don't know how low your levels were. If they were just outside of where they, the Goldilocks zone or optimal, what you might do is do like 2 or 3 applications of 2 or 3 feedings with that, and then switch to a fertilizer without phosphorus in it. You know what I mean? So you may do, again, a few apps to help build up phos levels, and then switch away to like something like Humic Max or some other fertilizer that doesn't have phosphorus. So that is what I would do. But yeah, that's a good option if you're that, as far as like bringing your levels up, that should do the trick for you. Cool. Next up, we got Archie Amos. He says, End Time Watcher, I just did my lawn with my Ego on the lowest setting and it scalped nicely. As Ron said, just raise it a notch for the rest of the season. Lawn is looking great and greening up. So there you go. See, you got someone with an Ego who scalped it on the lowest notch, and then they're bumping it up one for the height. They intend to maintain the lawn up for the season, which is kind of cool. Good stuff. All right, next up is Brian Hall. He says, good evening, Ron, and everyone in the chat. Yesterday was the first day of spring, 2024, I think you mean. 2024 here in Michigan and around the U.S. Let the lawn care talk begin. Yes. First day of spring is officially here, right? Awesome times. Joshua Araya, he says, hey, Ron, I sprayed 13 Celsius combo 2 Sundays ago. I used the big scoop per 2 gallons, but it's not killing the POA. Should I wait and respray? Okay, so you used 1 big scoop in 2 gallons of, if I'm reading this right, you used 1 big scoop in 2 gallons of water. How big of an area did you spray that over? Because if you sprayed 1,000 square feet with that, in my opinion, that's too low. That you need to go higher than that for if you're trying to control POA annua. So if you are using, let's make the math easy. Let's say you're using a gallon and you're spraying 1,000 square feet to make the math easy. I would use 1 of the large scoops with 2 small scoops. So I'll just show you really quick here. I've got one here. I can show you. If you're trying to control POA this time of year with certainty, what I have found in my testing that works well, while the label says that you can use you got 2 ends, big scoop, small scoop. And the label will say you can use 1 large scoop, right? That is the low end of the rate of the application rate for POA annua. That I've only had success with that against very young POA. This time of year, any POA that's in your lawn, it's going to be a bit more mature. It's probably going to already be flowering. And what I have found to get a good result with it is when you're spraying 1,000 square feet of POA annua, whether you're mixing that with a gallon of water or 2 gallons of water, if you're spraying 1,000 square feet, that's the thing you have to keep in mind, be mindful of. What I have found works well is 1 large scoop and 2 of the small scoops. So 1 large, 2 small, over 1,000 square feet produces a good result. So I don't know. The one thing you left out is you didn't tell me like how much you like how big of an area you spray. But at any rate, if all you used was one large scoop in 2 gallons of water, at best that's going to be the lowest rate, with the low end, which again at this time of year I just haven't had really good results with that. The rate for POA, just out of if the memory serves me on the label, it's going to tell you that the low end is 1.25 ounces per acre, which is equivalent of 1 of these, 1 large scoop per 1,000 square feet. The high end, the upper end of the rate for POA is 2 ounces per acre, which is 2 of the large scoops. So 2 of these is the upper end. That's like the limit, the high end of what they recommend for controlling POA. And what I find is you kind of split the difference, use 1 large and 2 small, and that produces a good result along with some surfactant. So it sounds to me, Joshua, based on what you're describing, that you under-applied it for controlling POA annua. So hope that helps, or hope that makes sense. And yeah, you're likely going to have to spray it again if you want to get rid of POA. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Again, don't think so. I mean, the amount of water, like the amount of carrier, it matters, but it doesn't matter as much. The way you should always think about when you're spraying herbicides, think about it in the sense of this much of the product over 1,000 square feet. Think of it that way. Think X amount over 1,000 square feet. Now, whether I mix that X amount of product with a gallon of water or with 5 gallons of water, I wouldn't recommend that much, but say, it doesn't really matter, 1 gallon, 2 gallons, as long as you're spraying that amount of active ingredient, that amount of product over the square footage that it is labeled to work well on, then you get a good result. But if you get the idea of I'm just gonna put 1 scoop in 2 gallons of water, and that's gonna be it for 2,000 square feet, you're under applying it. Like that rate might work okay for like sedges, but it's not gonna do anything for POA annua. So start thinking whenever you're calculating like your herbicide mixtures, think this much of the product over 1,000 square feet. And whether I'm diluting that with 1 gallon of water or 2 gallons of water, the thing to keep in mind is X amount of product over 1,000 square feet. And that's where calibrating your sprayer becomes so important, because let's say you are going to spray a product like how I like to do it, which is a gallon of product mix over 1,000 square feet. You want to be sure that when you are walking, your walking pace is such that you are putting out a gallon of product mix over 1,000 square feet so that you are applying the product properly. Does that make sense? So again, if you have any questions, feel free to just drop me a line and I'll go over it with you again. But Don't think so much of I have 2 gallons of water in my sprayer and I can add any amount of herbicide to it and that's going to work. It's the amount of product over a defined square footage is what is going to drive the result. So hope that makes sense. Hopefully I did a decent job explaining it. If you have any other questions, let me know. And but yes, to answer your question, based on what you described to me, you under applied certainty for controlling Poa annua. All right. Next up is Larry. He says, no, Ron, the pre-emergent is for the lawn, not the dirt. It'll work on both. It'll work on both. You can use prodiamine on the lawn and on the area that you're going to start working on, your new project area. You can use it on both. So yeah, prodiamine is a great option for either one of those. All right, next up is Brian Hall. He says, good evening, Ron, and everyone in the chat. Yesterday was the first day of spring 2024 here in Michigan. Okay, yeah, I think you were just correcting your typo. No worries. All right, next up is Golf Castle. He says, hey, Ron, my backyard green is waking up, but only part of it. Is it common that different areas wake up first and some areas may take a little bit longer? Yes, that's common. My height of cut is 0.125 inches. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if we break down this comment, it was a legitimate question followed by a light flex at the end because, was it from a standpoint of waking up, was it strictly necessary to know that he's at 0.125 inches? Not really. But I mean, from like a domination standpoint of showing that, he's that guy, it is. So to answer your question, Golf Castle, yes, it's not uncommon that, different parts wake up at different rates. My back lawn, there's an area that gets more sunlight than the rest of it, and it wakes up sooner than other parts of the lawn. It's just it's a thing. I really wouldn't worry about it. By this time next month, it should be fully green, looking great, and you'll wonder why you worried at all. But yeah, if some areas are getting more shade or more sunlight than others, that will make a difference. Like I was showing earlier in the video that I took this afternoon. If you look at my front lawn, which is greening up really nicely, if you get here towards the latter part of the video, you can see how this is greening up nicely, but then this right next to this shrub, it is not. And the reason why it's not is because of less sunlight. Just that little shrub that's right there, that's enough to slow down the green up. So if you have trees that cast a shadow over part of the green at certain times of day, that will materially slow down how quickly it takes your lawn greens up. So wouldn't sweat it. It'll come through. And again, I caught the subtle flex on the actual greens height, man. 0.125 inches is pretty sweet. Next time you got to send me a picture. Send me a picture of it, man. So I'll show everyone. Once it's looking good. I know it probably doesn't look great now, but when it looks, you're happy with it, send a picture of it. ron@golfcourselawn.com. That's my email address. Right, if I can click right there. Send me a picture of it. I'd like to show everyone your lawn. I'm sure it looks pretty awesome because that's truly greens height. That's getting it done. Send a picture, man. All right, next up is Joshua. He has a question about top dressing. He says, when it comes to top dressing, do you need to scalp prior to expose the uneven spots, or do you just cut at your regular height of cut? It depends on what your height of cut is. If you are mowing at 3/4 of an inch or lower, I would just top dress. There's not a whole lot of reason to go much lower. If you're, over an inch, inch and a quarter, inch and a half, yes, cutting a little bit lower down to 3/4 of an inch, half inch on the low end, is going to do two things. One, it's going to help it. It's going to make it easier for you to see the uneven spots. And then second, it's going to make moving the top dressing mix, like working that mix into the canopy, a lot easier. So for that reason, if you're 3/4 of an inch or below, I would just go to town. Once you get, an inch and a quarter and higher, that's when you might want to consider a slight, lowering the height of cut a little bit just to make your life a bit easier. So hope that helps, Joshua. It's a good question. But because the taller the grass, the more work it is to work the top dressing mix in. So, you want to work smarter, not harder, right? So that is what I would do. I would lower the height of cut down if you're over, say, an inch and a quarter, and then do the top dressing. You'll be happier. All right, next up is Terrence Stamps. Terrence Stamps is in the live stream. He says, hey, y'all. I've been walking the lawn and I noticed a bunch of bare spots. Would you recommend seeding even though I've already put down pre-emergent? I know the normal thought is no. And the normal thought answer is no, and I still stand by that, Terrence. If you put pre-emergent down, I wouldn't go out there and plant grass seed. If you have warm season grass, which I think you do, If you do have warm season grass, then I definitely like Bermuda. I wouldn't use grass seed. Just give it time. It will eventually grow in. If you got a cool season lawn and you've got a bunch of bare spots and you want to try it, you can give it a shot. But you're not going to get great germination. So if you want, it's not like you're gonna hurt anything if you want to try, other than you'll waste some money on grass seed because you may not get great germination if you decide to go that route. Like it might germinate and then die, or might not germinate at all. But if you want to give it a shot, like you've got a cool season lawn that's got some damage in it, and you're trying to fill those in that case, if you want to try, fine. But again, you're working against yourself by having pre-emergent in the soil already and trying to seed it. But the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to waste some money and time and water by trying to get grass to grow in a lawn that just got pre-emergent on it. So hope that helps. But that again, that guidance only applies if we're talking about cool season grass. If it's warm season grass, just be patient. Just give it more time. Give it more time. Clint Brock is up next. He says, I got my carbon kit in the mail. I also ordered a Rolex 9 blade. Stoked about no true cut tire ruts to maybe burn in some stripes and to level with sand this time. This clay and pH in Dallas Fort Worth is rough. It's tough, man. It's a tough life out there in Dallas Fort Worth. So, I mean, with you guys, it's either I'm waiting for it. I'm trying to prepare myself because with you guys in Texas, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin area, it normally is, Lord, it's a flood. We're getting rained out left and right, or we have no sun. We've been forsaken. It's a drought. I don't even know why I'm trying. So I'm trying to ready myself for the summer live streams. I know there's going to be a whole lot of that belly aching going around from Central Texas. But yeah, nice job. You got the Rolex 9 blade. You got the carbon kit. I dig it. One thing I would tell you as well is if you're going to be top dressing, so you're going to do a top dressing. So you've got a clay soil. What I would say is, Clint, as part of your top dressing project, aerate the lawn. A lot of people omit that mainly because aeration is an extra step, and frankly, it's a lot of work. But especially with you having a clay soil, you're really going to get a better result with your top dressing if you do a good solid aeration. Like do it in two directions, really beat it up, and then do your top dressing. And that's going to help that soil profile. It's going to help improve drainage. It's something that you're going to be happier that you did that versus just putting down sand on your existing lawn. So just something to consider. And congrats on the new mower. We'll clap it up for you. Congrats, new hardware. We got to like that. All right, and then next up, Golf Castle says, I have Ultra Dwarf Bermuda, and it's waking up good at the moment. I'm putting Milorganite down and one app of a 1010 granular with a spray app of nitrogen to help wake it up. It would, but I wouldn't push it. I really wouldn't push it too much. You know what I mean? If it's already waking up, let it do its thing. I mean, you put Milo. Milo's a little bit, as far as waking up, Milo's a little bit slow option for doing that. You put down a 1010. It's also, that's a nice light nitrogen to start feeding it. Let it wake up. If you want to, I wouldn't get out there and just spray a bunch of hit the green with like straight urea this time of year. I would let it come out of dormancy like on the rate that it wants to. I mean, if you want to put a bit of nitrogen down, which you've already done, I'm all for that. But I wouldn't go out there with like 4600 and say, I'm going to make this thing come out of dormancy and do that, because while it might work, you could also create problems, a month or two down the road with disease and just other issues. I really wouldn't push it. Like what you've done is A-okay. I wouldn't go much further than that. If you want to get out there and you want to spray like a biostimulant, I'd be fine with that. That would be that'd be fine. And if you're gonna spray and like very low rates, like a fifth of an ounce to a tenth of an ounce on the top end, that's it. Don't get out there and try. Like I said, don't get out there and go like a straight urea product and really go hard to try and get to push a bunch of growth. So hope that helps. Golf Castle, sounds like you're doing a lot of the right things. Like if you were looking to do something like that, I'd say like the 901C carbon kit at like 2 ounces per 1,000. That's a very nice light rate. You're doing a lot of biostimulants and kelp, and you're also putting the soil microbes in as well. So you're just doing it's a great all around option for feeding your green versus just going at it with just nitrogen. So I would consider that if anything, but what you're doing already sounds really good. All right, Robert Thomas is in the house. He says, "What's up, gang? What's going on, Robert? Hopefully you're doing all right." And then Joshua Araya says, how do you get rid of your bag clippings, and what is your plans for lawn care this upcoming month? So bag clippings, I put them in, I have 2 dumpsters. So with my trash service, you can pay to have like an extra one. So I have one of them and another one throughout most of the, well, not most of the year, throughout like the fall and winter months. Like there's not a whole lot that's in one of them, but like this time of year when I'm mowing, like I will fill up. I typically in the height of the season, I will fill one all the way up and I'll have the other one halfway filled with grass, which still leaves enough room for actual trash. And that's how I get rid of my clippings. As far as plans for my lawn care up this upcoming month. Next month I will be spraying. I'll be doing my insecticide. I'll be doing a Celiprin. I'll be doing. I haven't decided if I'm gonna do a Celiprin SC or a Celiprin G. Probably a Celiprin SC. Probably the liquid. Where is it? This. I'll be spraying my insecticide, and then I'll be doing my spoon feeding program. So I'll show you exactly what I'll be doing. So a Celiprin, I've already spoken to you about that. But then as far as like stuff that makes the grass grow, it helps out that domination life. It'll be Humic Max, the beginning of the month at 3 pounds per thousand. It'll be the 901C carbon kit at 3 ounces per thousand for the liquids, along with Biospectrum. And then it will also be Nutrizolve at 6 ounces per thousand. So that liquid concoction will go together, and I'll spray that on the same day that I apply Humic Max, and then again 2 weeks later. So the 1st and the 15th, I'll be spraying the liquids, and the granular happens once a month. The only thing that really changes from that as the season progresses, as far as like regular inputs, is that I will start adding Primo Max. So mid-April, mid to late April is when Primo will start going in the tank as well at low rates. Again, depending on how the lawn is waking up, how it's doing, how it's looking. So that's what I'm doing, Joshua. That's my plan for next month. All right. Next up is Fred Rosales. He says, is it too early to start leveling a lawn? I have a Bermuda lawn. I live in Texas. Thank you. Not really, not necessarily. If your lawn is already, it's already woken up, it's out of dormancy, you're mowing it, like it's beginning to grow, starting to really come alive, and you want to go out and level it, sure. Around here in Georgia, like right now, if it'd be too soon for me to really go out and do a leveling on my lawn. It would just slow things down a bit. The earliest I have done leveling is typically on the front lawn, and that would be like the middle of April. So if you look at some of my videos from years past, when I've done like just a compost, it's like either carbonized PN or just a compost top dressing, it's always been only on the front lawn in like mid to late April timeframe. As far as top dressing the entire property, that tends to be the first part of May is when I do that. But then that's where I am. If you're in southern Texas and your lawn's already greened up and you're already mowing it regularly, then you can get out there and level it, go do your top dressing work. But it's really dependent on how your particular lawn is growing this time of year. So I hope that helps, Fred. It's again, for me, for Georgia, again, at least for where I am in Georgia anyway, it would be a bit early. But if you are, you might be in Galveston or somewhere, you might be in South Texas, College Station, you might be somewhere south where it's already really hot and your grass, you're already out there mowing it a couple times a week. In that case, go for it. All right. Next up is Amara Damra. He says, hey, Ron, wish a great season for you and everyone else. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much, Ahmad. Thanks for the kind words. And then Southern Abe says, hey, Ron, I missed last few shows. Getting warm here in Louisiana. Green up is going fast. At what point do you apply fungicides for preventative? Excellent question, Southern Abe. So I do my preventative fungicide apps in May and June. So the beginning of May, I do a fungicide app, and the beginning of June, I do a fungicide app. If you want to see that documented, have like a little schedule that you can follow, if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, go to Resources and Lawn Care Schedule. Item 5 in the menu will be our monthly application calendar, and you'll see that for May, it's the first of 2 fungicide applications, either Headway or Pillar SC, and then for June, your second spring or summer fungicide app of Headway G or Pillar SC. So May and June is when I do it. I hope that helps, sir. And again, as far as which one you want to use, Pillar if you like liquids, which is the nice thing about Pillar SC is that it's really easy in the sense that there's only one rate, 1 ounce per thousand, whether you're using it as preventative or curative. 1 ounce per thousand is all you need with this, which is nice from a measuring standpoint. And then Headway G, around a little over 2 pounds per thousand is what I like to apply whenever I use that product. But either one of them will work well. It really just comes down to what your preference is. And if you're looking for either one of those fungicides, I'll drop you a link here in the chat for where you can pick it up. Hope that helps. but I do it now. And then we didn't get to the bottom part of that calendar, which I didn't link that in the chat for you, did I? That's not very useful. That was not very useful. Yeah, so I'll send you a link to the calendar too. But the other times, the other time in the year when I do a preventive fungicide app is in the fall. So October, beginning of October, I do one, and then the beginning of November I do one. And the reason for that is to prevent spring dead spot, and that's worked really well for me. Like limiting my N inputs, and then also doing a late fall fungicide application has done a lot over recent years to where when the lawn wakes up, I'm not really having a lot of damage with spring dead spot anymore, which is I am very happy about. So yeah, but for the spring, May, June. All right, next up is Matthew Berger. He says, hey, Ron, what date do you start your verticutting grooming routine? I'm in North Carolina, and I verticut my zoysia and did my first mow today. Yeah, so as far as regular turf raking, I'm already doing that. I'll do that, once a week at this point. Verticutting, the lawn doesn't really need it yet. It's not really, as far as, it really taken off and beginning to thicken up. I haven't really had to do that as yet. The first verticut will likely be for me in May. Maybe next month, but more than likely it'll be May. So that's when I do it when it actually needs it. Now, could I do it now? Sure, but there's not, it doesn't really need it at this point. If anything, the front lawn is ahead of the back lawn. So the front lawn, an argument can be made that I could verticut the front lawn next month, but the back lawn I wouldn't do it in April. That I would wait until May for. So I hope that helps. But yeah, it looks like you did good. You did your verticut and you did your first mow today. Like it. I like it, man. It sounds like a plan. It's an easy way also to thin out the lawn a little bit if you're trying to do that. So yeah, go for it. And then next up is Jacob Madrid. He says, Ron, I want to be about that life, but my gas Toro is getting it done until then. Dude, listen, the most important thing, anyone in the sound of my voice, the most important thing, regardless of whether you got a rotary mower or you have a reel mower, and whether it's like a super expensive reel mower, like an Allet, or a push reel mower, or a really nice rotary mower like a Toro, or a very basic mower like, I don't know who makes a very basic mower, but like whatever, like, a cheaper rotary mower, the most important thing is you keep it sharp. So yes, equipment is nice. Yes, having like new features and everything is important, but the most important thing that's going to define how good a job, how your turf grass looks, is that you cut it with sharp equipment. So really, for the most part, the lawn doesn't know what it's being cut with, and as long as you keep the height of cut reasonable based on what you're working with, and the mower sharp, you're going to get a good result. So you got that Toro, it's working well. Rock on, man. I like it. You like it? I love it. All right, we got Brian Baldino. He says, "'Tis the season." It is, man. It is. And then Gary Johnson says, "Real men, real mow." Gary. I mean, I think if you have the time, I mean, the thing is, I always say that. I mean, do I think that more people should real mow their lawns? Yes. But you have to have the time to do it, and you have to enjoy doing it. You know what I mean? You have to enjoy it. Like for me, mowing is relaxing. Like I get out there and I just like I do some of my best thinking. If I have like a problem at work or something in the business or some other thing I'm just trying to think about, I get out there and I just start mowing. And I do my best thinking when I'm out in the lawn, just laying stripes. I know it's the weirdest thing ever. It is relaxing. I already answered what mower Devin has, and then T1000 says, I'm getting Yukon Bermuda grass seed next week. Say a prayer for the green. Love the content. Okay, I'm just going on record saying that you're doing it the hard way. I will still state that, going with sod is far easier. But if you want to do hard mode and try and grow Bermuda from a grass seed, by all means. Don't say I didn't say it's the hard way of doing it. But, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Go for it. And Kevin Barriga says, yeah, it's a green master mower. Yeah, so Devin's mower, I can find it really quickly. His mower is this guy, that one right there. That is his baby. That's his whip. That's what he's working with. That's pretty sweet. I mean, now you talk about a greens mower. That's a greens mower with all the trimmings. 14 blade, groomer. I mean, as far as like a Mac Daddy greens mower to get, it doesn't get much more, it doesn't get more blinged out than that one. That's pretty, I mean, let me see. I don't think, does he have the light package? I don't see the light package, but I mean, outside of having lights on it, that's the only thing you could add to that mower. It's got it all. It's got it all. And given that it came from a golf course and its golf superintendent's going to be running it, you better believe it's going to be razor sharp. All right. Next up is T1000 says, applying Yukon. Hopefully it survives the hot Texas summer. It should. It should. Bermuda likes heat. It does well. It does well. It likes heat and sunlight, so it'll be okay. And Devin says, "Yep, I have had a soil recycler that he used to use, and now the Greens Master." So you see, he used to have that, and now he started with a rotary, and now he's how did Drake say? Started from the bottom, now we're here. He's like started with a Toro recycler. Not the same thing wrong with Toro recycler. It's a really nice rotary mower. He started with a rotary mower, and now he's here. So we expect a lot this year, man. I'm sure you're going to drop some serious stripes. Can't wait to see what you do with it. All right, next up we got Noek95. He says, I haven't used lime since 2021. I will look at the other products to ensure the trend doesn't continue. My phosphorus has been trending down in these years. I will have to apply a 0.460 this year and try to help the lawn out. Yeah, man. I'm just pay attention. To what you're doing. It's interesting that it would move up by itself without you putting any kind of lime into it regularly. But yeah, I guess it is what it is. All right. Next up is Theo. Just comment on the leveling rakes. I have one that does not have solid bars, but more like channels on top, which is annoying as material gets trapped and you have to shake it out. Yeah. So here's the thing, Theo. I've heard different schools of thought on that. I, like you, do not like the bars, like the I know what you're talking about, like the channel iron. So I've heard from some people that the reason why that's a design feature, that if there's rocks or debris or twigs, that's lighter and that will end up in those channels. So it's a way to like level the lawn while also removing debris from it. But the thing is, it's not only like small rocks and twigs that gets in there, like some of the sand gets in there too. So I don't know that that's necessarily that holds true, but from what I've been told that that's a design element on some rigs. Like they literally use the channel iron. They do that on purpose so that stuff gets in there and you don't have to get out of the lawn later. But I'm with you. I am not a fan of it. Not a fan. All right, Ken is up next. He says, I just got my soil test in and I'm going to purchase 4 gallons of Nutrizolve for weekly treatment of 3 ounces weekly. Okay. Says, can you recommend a good liquid fertilizer for the macros? Sure can. I sure can. So do you need, you didn't tell me, you said you did a soil test, but you didn't tell me what are you missing? All right. So we can go, let's go to the golf course lawn store. We go to shop and then lawn fertilizer. If you're looking for a liquid fertilizer that has a little bit of everything, all the macros, you can go with Turfplex. It's got nitrogen. You can see you got nitrogen, you got a little bit of phosphorus and a little bit of potassium. So you want a little bit of everything, you can go with Turfplex. And that's a good option. Actually, if you're planning on spraying Nutrizolve weekly at 3 ounces per 1,000, then this would be a good option. Now, here's the thing I would say. If you're going to be using, I guess you're spraying weekly, not every 2 weeks. If you're going to be spraying weekly instead of every 2 weeks, I might back the rate on Turfplex down a little bit too. So Turfplex, I normally say 6 ounces per 1,000 every 14 days, every 2 weeks. But if you're going to be spraying weekly, if I read that right, then I would reduce that too. I might do 3 ounces per 1,000 if you're going to be out there literally every week spraying the lawn. So 3 ounces per 1,000 on Turfplex, 3 ounces per 1,000 with Nutrizolve. Sounds like a great combination to me. It should work really well. And that is what I would go with. I will send you a link here in the chat so you know where to pick it up. Because you're probably saying, yeah, you told me, but you didn't tell me. You didn't show me where it is. So I'm going to tell you where it is. There you go. This is what I would use based on what you're going for. Because I'm assuming based on your soil test results, you need a bit of everything. You want all the macros. If you don't need all the macros, then what I would say is, let's say you don't need phosphorus. Then what I would say is go with Release 901C. This is nitrogen, a bit of potassium, and no phosphorus. If you don't need phosphorus, you shouldn't be really putting it in. You shouldn't be really applying it. So yeah. So Release 901C. If you don't need phos, if you do need everything, Turfplex. And the nice thing is, Nutrizolve mixes nicely with each of those, so you'll be good to go regardless of which you decide on. All right. Colin's up next. He says, I forgot to mention I picked up the new Earthway spreader as well. We got to clap it up for that. Congrats on the new hardware. I went with the 2600A Plus. I can't wait to use it here real soon. Love the build quality of it. Nice. Very, very cool, Colin. Yeah, again, I love mine, man. It's a great spreader for the, I mean, they've gone up more over the years. I remember when you could buy an Earthway, they were like 140. 140? Maybe 150. I'm sorry, maybe 159 is what I'm thinking. Maybe not 140. Maybe it was 159. But they were a lot cheaper than they were now. Like now they're well into the low 200s, and I remember when they were $80 to $100 less than they are now. But it's a great, again, you won't regret it. It's a great spreader. I love mine. It's great bit of kit, and just it saves so much frustration because you're not having to be like, oh, I've got this product and now I got to go get like a spreader conversion chart and figure out like how much, just literally it's going to be on the bag, so you don't have to worry about it. It saves time, and it's easy to push. Nice air-filled tires make it easier to use and nice and fun to use on the lawn. So there's that too. Okay, next up is Deepak. He says, I just moved to a new place with 70% Bermuda sod is still present, and the rest is full of weeds, crabgrass, centipede. What should I do now to have a healthy lawn by midsummer? Is this possible? It is possible. And the nice thing, Deepak, is that you've got Bermuda as the base grass, and you've got crabgrass and centipede as the weed. I mean, one is grass, but the weeds you want to get rid of. The nice thing is there's a herbicide called quinclorac that Bermuda tolerates very well, but is not, but centipede does not, and neither does crabgrass. So if you're trying to kill off the crabgrass and the centipede while keeping the Bermuda looking good, you can use quinclorac. So that is what I would go with based on, it sounds like you're trying to get the lawn to be all Bermuda. I'll get you a link here to that. Be sure to read the label, obviously, but that's a good fit. Now, it's a good thing you told me that way, because if you said, hey, I have a centipede lawn and I'm trying to get rid of Bermuda in it, like, heaven help you. There's not a lot of great solutions for that one. But if the other way around, Bermuda, and you want to get rid of centipede and crabgrass, then this will do the trick. So this herbicide that I'm linking to you in the chat is what I would use, and that will again, that literally will control. It's labeled for controlling crabgrass, but if you are trying to also control St. Augustine in Bermuda or centipede in Bermuda, quinclorac will also do it too. So that's the way to go. Good. So nice. That was an easy one, and congrats on the new place. A lot of people getting new places this year. Lewis says, any good liquid pre-emergents? Yeah, man, tons of them. Are you kidding? Yeah. You could argue that there are more liquid pre-emergent options than there are granular. So it depends on what you're after. Prodiamine is available as a liquid pre-emergent. That's a great one to use for springtime. If you have warm season grass, I'm trying to remember what you have, if you have warm season grass or not. I'm trying to find it. I don't remember, but if you have warm season grass, as far as a pre-emergent for the fall, you can use a couple rounds of prodiamine. You can also use Dimension, not great then, but the best pre-emergent for the fall that's a liquid, in my opinion, is a product called Spectacle Flow. This is for warm season grass only, but it's an excellent pre-emergent. It has a really long residual, so you apply it in the early fall, and really you're done until your spring pre-emergent. As far as keeping annua out of warm season turf grass, this is the stuff to use. Really good product. It's expensive, but it's not. But it's the best at what it's designed to do. So for a fall pre-emergent for a warm season lawn, I would use Spectacle. For a spring pre-emergent, I would use, in liquid form, I would use prodiamine. So if you want to have a couple, and there's other options out there as well too. I can just show you the ones that we carry. I mean, we don't carry every liquid pre-emergent there is out there. There's tons of them. But if you go to the first lawn store, and you go to shop and then weed killer and click on pre-emergent, you're going to see some options. So Spectacle Flow is the one I just showed you. That's a great fall pre-emergent. One of these bottles is like, I think it's like 3 acres. It's a lot. Like you could take one of these and split it with a friend or a couple of friends. It goes a long way. And then for the liquid pre-emergent for prodiamine, you can get it in the water dispersible granule. What this looks like is this, like these little yellow pellets that you weigh out using a scale, and then you suspend it in water, and then you spray your lawn. So that's your option for liquid pre-emergents. What you tend to find too, Lewis, is that your liquids, like the cost per application for liquid pre-emergent the cost per 1,000 tends to be less expensive for liquid products than for granular. So that's another consideration as well too. So I'll send you a link to where you can find the pre-emergent section on the Golf Course Lawn Store. And if you want my opinion for fall pre-emergent, Spectacle Flow, spring pre-emergent, prodiamine. Great option. It's what I do on my lawn, and it produces a great result. So there you go. That's where you can find pre-emergents. I am feeling so much better this week than this time last week. What a difference a few days makes. All right, next up is Steven Thompson. He says, hey, Ron, I'm about 90 to 95% green up. Should I start PGR now? This sounds like a person that just wants to start growth regulator. Mowing 1 to 2 times a week, depending on how wet the grass is. Since I'm using a riding mower at 1.25 inches, the Revolution 26 will be here soon. Yes, if you're at 95% green up, you're mowing a couple times a week, go for it. You want to start using, introducing Primo, go for it. What I would say, Steven, is go slow, right? So don't go out there and apply the monthly application, like the monthly amount right while in one go. Take whatever the monthly application rate is, cut that in half, and then just introduce it to the plant slowly, and just spray it every couple of weeks, and you'll get a good result with that. Yeah, 95% greened up. You're mowing it regularly, so the lawn's actively growing. Great time to start giving it that good stuff with Primo Max. So yeah, you already know where to get that. It's under lawn fertilizer on the Golf Course Lawn Store. But because your name is Steven, I will I'll make it easier for you so you can get it there. All right, Crystal is up next. She says, if I do plug the process to fill in bare spots, what would backfill the hole to encourage regrowth? Excellent question, Crystal. So here's what's going to happen. So if you have one of those plugging tools, right? Let's say you have 2 spots in your lawn. This is one spot that has, we'll call this site is bare. This part has awesome grass. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to take a plug out of the bare area, and then you're going to take that plug out and set it aside. And then you're going to go into the good area, the good spot, and pull a plug out. You're going to take the plug that has grass out of the good spot of the lawn and put that into the bare area. And then that plug that was just dirt that we took out of the bare spot, we're going to put that into the area where we took the plug out of. So you're just kind of swapping them. And then what's going to happen is, because that area is just dirt, the grass will quickly grow over it and fill in that spot, and you'll be good to go. But that's how it's most often done. So you pretty much just are swapping. You're swapping a plug of soil from 2 different areas of your lawn. One just happens to have grass in it, and the other one doesn't have grass. That's the best way to think about it. It's a good question. Crystal. I like that one. Next up we have Justin Judkins. I'm just making a note here really quick on Crystal's question because it was so good. Okay, next up is Justin Judkins. He says, how careful do you need to be with a powered reel mower in an area under a tree? Often I have small twigs, sticks falling on the lawn, planning at mowing at 0.75 to 1 inch. Yeah, so the thing is, reel mowers and all mowers really are designed to only cut one thing, and that is grass. You do not want to hit twigs, sticks, roots. I've been told they don't work against concrete. I've tried it, didn't work out too well. So the thing I would say is, yes, Justin, I would get the trash off the lawn. I really wouldn't run over. I'd avoid running over twigs, mulch, and those kinds of things. I mean, could you do a small twig? Is it going to damage the mower? Probably not. But it's designed to cut grass. You know what I mean? And as far as preserving the edge on the mower, having it last longer, reducing the chance of damage, like your best bet is to only cut grass with it. So do like a little pre-flight check in that area. You know, you can stop them really quick and pick up the twigs. You can get your blower out really quickly if there's a bunch of them and blow them off somewhere and then go mow. But I would avoid, whenever possible, running over pine cones, mulch, stones, anything that is not grass. You want to avoid mowing with your reel mower. So that's my thoughts on the matter. The first time you hit concrete or you chip a reel and you have to go replace it, you'll thank me, because it's not inexpensive. That's thing one. And just also from a time perspective, right? Like you break your reel mower. Like I did a number on my Greensmaster. I tore up the bed knife and reel. I mean, almost $900 later, and it being gone for a couple of weeks. I had practically a new mower. It cuts great. I got a real upgrade in the process. But it's just, you don't want to be during the season having your mower down because you decided to run over a pine cone or run over a stone or a root or something, and you tore something up. So like I would say, like mowers, even with rotary mowers, they're designed to mow grass, like grass, not rocks, twigs, roots, anything that like that. You want just grass if you want to keep it looking as nice as possible. And then Joshua Reyes says 2,000 square feet. Yeah. So in that case, Joshua, so in your case, you took 2 gallons of water, you put one large scoop of certainty in 2 gallons of water, and you sprayed 2,000 square feet. So essentially, what you did is you sprayed half of a scoop per 1,000 square feet, which is not nearly enough to control poa annua. You see what I mean? So you see how the math kind of works out. So if we did 1 gallon per 1,000, in your case, you would do 2 large scoops and 4 small scoops over that 2,000 square foot area if your goal is to control poa annua. That's what the rate should be if you're looking to get a good result with that, because you grossly, that's a major under application. Again, that rate you used might work okay for sedges, but not for poa annua. It's not enough. All right, next up is Joshua. He says, hey, Ron, my neighbor's trying to replace his centipede lawn with Bermuda by aggressively dethatching his centipede lawn and planting Bermuda seeds. What are your thoughts? Why not just spray out the centipede and just put down Bermuda sod? Like you could do what he's doing is harder. Like the same answer I gave to the gentleman that just asked about that has the mostly Bermuda lawn and has some centipede and crabgrass in it, just spray quinclorac. Like that is going to injure and kill the centipede. And then you can just sod with Bermuda, or if you want to go grass seed, you can do that too. But I would use a herbicide to selectively get rid of the centipede in the Bermuda, and quinclorac is a good option for doing that. And again, I would also try and encourage him to not. I mean, you can grow a Bermuda lawn from seed, but it's just harder. It's so much harder than just using sod. So it just depends on where he is in it. If it's a small area and he wants to use seed and he doesn't care that the seed that he's going to put in is likely not going to match his existing lawn, then fine. But if he's trying to do a renovation where it's all going to look nice, that's where really, burning it all down and just bringing in Bermuda sod would be the way. That's what I would do if he's really trying to get the absolute best result. Second to that would be killing off the centipede using a selective herbicide like quinclorac, and then if there's any bare areas, plugging those bare areas with Bermuda grass. That way, once it all grows in, it's guaranteed to match. All right, Shep is up next. He said he's able to find the 70-30 mix at Site 1. Yep, so there you go. Sounds good. And then next up is Kevin Barriga. Kevin Barriga. He says, hey, Ron, hope all is well. I put down pre-emergent, average 5-day, soil temp is 55 degrees. Temperature are dropping here again. Will pre-emergent still be effective? Yes, you're good. Yeah, if you already applied your pre-emergent, like a little temperature swing, rainfall, like all that's fine. You're still gonna be okay. Like it's not like if the temps were like 52 degrees, you applied your pre-emergent, and then like how you had a cold snap for a couple of days where you had a few hours out of a day where the temperatures got down, in the 30s. It's not gonna matter. It's gonna be just fine. Pre-emergent is still gonna work okay. You don't need to reapply it. And he said he's using big box store seeds. I don't think he's gonna like what it looks like. I mean, it depends on how picky he is. Like, I would not like how that looks, but if all he wants is it to be grass, then I guess. But it's highly unlikely that the grass seed that he gets from one of the big box stores, which is likely going to be some kind of common Bermuda, maybe a slightly improved common Bermuda, is going to match the Bermuda that is currently in his lawn. So he's just got to be prepared that even if he gets rid of the centipede, using the strategy that he's using, he's likely going to end up with a lawn where the grass doesn't. It's going to look different. So there is that. Robert Wallace, he says, hey, Ron, when using the outlet system, do you normally mow first and then turf rake, or turf rake and then mow? Great question. The last thing I do is mow. So if I'm going to do, I will turf rake and then mow, or if I'm going to verticut, I'll verticut, turf rake, and then mow. Mowing is always the last thing. Mowing is always the last thing I do, Robert. It's a good question. And then, let's see here. Jacob Fuentes says, hey, Ron, hope all is well. I have Tahoma 31, Bermuda. Nice. It is starting to wake up. I could not scalp my lawn in February due to the Revolution 26 not arriving yet. Sounds a little bitter. He's like, I would scalp my lawn, but I can't scalp it because I don't have my mower yet. You'll have it soon though. Because I did my soil test in February from my soil and received the results and was recommended Yard Mastery Stress Blend Fertilizer. When can I apply it? You said your lawn's starting to wake up, so now, now would be the time to do it. Now would be the time to do it. And then next up, Utah. Yeah, he said, so sorry, I missed your other one. He said you went to local extension office, you got a soil test, and it said Bermuda needs 2.2 pounds of urea, so nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, all per 1,000 square feet. Yeah, so I would just use a balanced fertilizer, Utah. Let's see. Yeah, so just a balanced fertilizer. You could use, if you locally you want to go out and find like, a triple 13. If you're asking me what I would apply based on that, where you have a soil that needs a little bit of everything, it would be this. It would be the 14-7-14. It'd be this. This is what I would use because it's not only fertilizer, it's also got other beneficial ingredients for your soil quality. This is what I would use. And I would just run with that throughout most of the season. And what you could do is, if you wanted to, say, what is it now? It's, if you do this for April, May, June. Yeah, so you want to do this do like 3 apps of this, and then say in July, you switch to like a fertilizer without phosphorus, and then do a soil test in the fall again. That way you'll be able to see where your phosphorus levels are and adjust your program for the following year. But yeah, that is what I would use. The product I just showed you, and I will link to you here in the chat, is what I would go with. If you're still here, I don't think you're still here. It doesn't look like you're still here. Looks like you. Oh, actually, no. You have a quote in your name. That's why I can't link to you. Yeah, that's what I would. This is what I would go with. You ought to get to me. You gotta get me 2. So that one, that's what I would use if you're still here. All right. Next up, Larry, he says, just ordered all the recommendations in More 12-024. I never thought about using pre-emergent on the dirt strip. I'm looking forward to having time to work on that area. Thanks. 100 likes. Nice. Just getting up there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, pre-emergent would be fine to use there, Larry, but you're gonna want to have some kind of a ground cover too, right? You want to have, if you have a bunch of bare dirt, eventually the weeds are going to begin growing there again. So pre-emergent is to help prevent them from coming in, but you want to do, like Robert gave a great option, just doing a gravel, like a rock bed, something like that would be a good thing to do. Something decorative so it looks nice. Because even bare dirt with no weeds doesn't look the greatest. I mean, it's better than bare dirt. It's better than like mostly bare dirt with weeds in it, but I mean, I would still do something kind of decorative. All right, Ton Hoffenkamp is up next. He says, hey, he says, what the hey? Hope you guys are well. Wednesday is cool. Devin bought the mower from himself. When peeps in the business. Yeah, man. I mean, when you know folks, when you're in the know, you can definitely get something nice. So there's always that. Let's see here. Any downside to, this is a good question. Any downside to a smaller granular or smaller prill size, always a better option. I says, love the 12-024, and I'm pumped about to see the effects. 14-7-14 goes on April 1st, along with the carbon kit and Nutrisolve. I'd say a negative to a smaller prill size is you have to be, more on point with your spreader settings, right? Like you have to make sure you set it properly. You have to do that with a larger prill too, but with like, you can very easily over apply a smaller prill if you have the hopper opened up too much versus a larger one, larger prill size. What else? on some spreaders, like if you have like some of the less expensive Scott spreaders, not like the deluxe, but if you have some of the cheaper ones, the door doesn't tend to close very well. And if you have a very fine prill like what you have in the complete 14-7-14 or triple 12, like something like that, it'll actually go past you'll actually begin just falling. It'll fall through past that I don't know, that little door that's supposed to close properly. But if you're using a quality spreader like an Earthway, or a Lesco or something like that, it's not a problem. But yeah, as far as the negatives, no, there's not really. What other negatives are there? A cost. There, it's more expensive. Like a fertilizer of the same makeup in with this prill size, this is going to be less expensive than one in this prill size. So cost is also a factor. But outside of that, the benefits I think far outweigh them. I mean, you don't have to worry. Less chance of causing burn because any of the prills staying on the leaf. It gets into the soil faster and easier because that's where it needs to be. It's just there's lots of benefits to a smaller prill. The reason why I personally think it's just you don't see it more often is it's just the cost of making it. You know what I mean? So and people won't want to pay it. So that's the thing. But as far as any practical downsides, no, there's not really any. All right. Next up is Tom Hoffman Cabby says smaller prill the better. Always. It's weird to say, right? I mean, yes and no. So here's a negative. One thing I can think about too. If you're putting out granular fertilizer on a really windy day, which I don't know why you would do that, but say you were putting out granular fertilizer on a really windy day, the smaller prill is more likely to be blown than a larger prill. So that could be a negative, but really you shouldn't be spraying your lawn or being out there doing that kind of stuff when there's a lot of wind out. So I guess that's another potential negative. But like I said, from a standpoint of practical downsides, there really aren't any. Like I'm a huge fan of Humic Max and also the other fertilizers that we carry, the 12024 and the 14714. Great, excellent products. Not only because of the prill size, but because of the makeup. Like it's not just fertilizer. You also have like biostimulant in there as well too. The humic acid, the kelp. It's a great overall feeding program for your soil. So big fan. Big fan. All right, next up is Michael Raymond. He says, can you sum up the benefits of becoming a member of the Lawn Academy versus following your lawn care calendar? Yeah, so in the Academy, you have a more detailed application calendar. Like I supply rates. You can find a lot of those rates in the blog posts. Probably the biggest benefits, the two biggest benefits to the Academy, the content is really good. So if you want to like learn things about grass that I wouldn't really make YouTube videos on because not many people would watch it because it's more in the weeds type stuff. That is a benefit you'll get from the Academy. If you're someone that wants a discount on Miramichi Green products, like that's the only way to really consistently get a discount on Miramichi Green products in the Golf Course Lawn Store is to be an Academy member. And then one of the best parts is the private Facebook group. Like we have over 100 people in there now that are all. So imagine like how all you guys are all really serious about your lawns and just really dedicated to the process. Like Robert is a member. There's a few others in here that stop in here occasionally that are members. It's just a really good group of guys and gals. There's like it's a drama-free zone. Like I make that really clear. I'm not gonna tolerate any drama. Like if you're someone that comes in there, you start making a bunch of trouble, I'll give you your money back and you're out. Like I'm not even playing. So it's it's a good support system for people that are really serious about their lawns. And it's a great way to also get questions answered really quickly. So I'm in there, but also a lot of the guys and gals that are in there that have been following the content for a long time. So they know how I would answer something. If someone asks a question, they pretty much know what I would say. You get your questions answered really quickly. So there's lots of benefits to, outside of just the YouTube content. So the course is really good. I've gotten awesome feedback as far as that goes. There's the discount, so there's technically a way for it to pay for itself over time. But then again, the private Facebook group is really awesome. Like it's a really good group of people that are in there, and we just have a great time talking about grass and other stuff, and just have a good time. And it's like you pay once. It's not like a subscription. So you buy it once, and as long as I'm around and the internet's around, you have access to it. So I think it's a good investment. It's a it's a more efficient way of getting the knowledge than going through all the blog posts and watching all the YouTube content. So you have to ask yourself whether you think it's worth it or not. You can tell I don't promote it a ton because really it's not something that I really want to push people to want to get into. Like I want you to read the blogs, watch the YouTube content, and say, you know what, I also want to learn some of the other stuff that he doesn't talk about in blogs or on YouTube. And I also want to have the support system. And I also like saving a little bit of money off of biostimulants and liquid fertilizers and stuff. So, and if all those reasons are you, it's a good reason to join the Academy. But yeah, like I said, I don't push it a ton because it's very important to me to preserve like what we have going. I don't want like Like drama is a hard no-go. All right, next up is Matthew Bergy. It says, "Hey Ron, I just checked out your lawn care schedule and I didn't see any Hydrotain Root Zone Master on it. Any reason you omit this?" No, not really. Thanks for always giving such great advice. It's a good point. I can add that. Really, the time when you would start applying Hydrotain would be before summer gets here. So May is when you could start. They say it lasts for 90 days. I find that applying it every 60 days works better. So you end up doing a couple of applications per season. But it's a good point, Matthew. I will. That's a good point. It's an omission on my part. It wasn't intentional. I will add that. I'll edit it and I'll add that to it. But yeah, you start at the beginning of May and then so May, June, again in July, and then arguably July, August, and then arguably you could do an application in September. But really, you might be able to get by with just 2 apps over the course of the season. Just depends on where you are in the country and how hot it gets and what your watering situation is. But that's a good point. I'll make a note of that because I will fix that. You are correct. That is an omission on my part. Next, next up we have CPIMS. It says, "Also got my soil test done for the front and backyard. Looks like I'll be applying quite a bit of nitrogen, potassium, and micros this season. Phosphorus is optimal in the front and high in the back." Nice, cool. So like Humic Max at 1608 or, any fertilizer that emits phosphorus is going to be a good fit for you. So good stuff, Colin. And that's a good reason to get a soil test so that way you're not needlessly putting phosphorus into the soil. So good stuff. Great. Nice job. Soldier says, "I need to improve my current soil, but it's hard clay. What are some options in granular or hose end sprayer?" Okay, so Soldier, okay, so I am not a fan personally. If you have like hard clay soil, I think you really have to go after it with from a mechanical approach. So I would recommend doing a core aeration, like a heavy core aeration, multiple passes, multiple directions, and then a top dress afterwards. Like, sand, a combination of sand and compost is a good way to help improve a lot of the problems that people tend to complain about when it comes to hard clay soil. Most importantly being drainage. Like it rains and water just sits on there for like hours and hours, sometimes days on end, right? If you core aerate it, that's going to help relieve compaction, and then you top dress with a blend of sand and soil, that is going to help improve the profile to where whenever it rains, it's going to help pull water away from the surface. So are there liquid options? Yeah, you could use our carbon kit. That is technically like a liquid dethatcher type product. But the liquid aeration products out there do not replace mechanical aeration. They do not replace the results you get with mechanical aeration. So I would just try and just save you a bunch of time and say, either you go out and run an aerator or pay someone to come aerate your lawn and then top dress it. Even if you only do it one time, just once, you'll see a big improvement in drainage and a lot of the issues that people tend to complain about on hard clay soil. So that honestly is what I would do. If you want to supplement it with some kind of a liquid aeration product as well, fine. But that shouldn't be the primary way to fix a hard compacted soil, in my opinion. All right, next up we got Oliver Rittem is in the house. He says, he says, "Ron, I may have a bed knife problem. Everything except the far right cuts paper. I've been backlapping that side and it's very sharp. I've tightened that end, but still no success. Thoughts?" You may have a bed knife. You may have some coning in the reel. That could be possible too. So let me see. So everything except for one side cuts paper. And if you tighten it, it's still, it may need to grind, Oliver. You may have some slight coning in it. That's possible. And the only way to really take that out is with a grind. You can't really backlap that out easily. So it might be that you may have to send the mower in for a grind to get that cleaned up. I mean, is it cutting the grass? I mean, I don't know. You said it's cutting paper on one side, but not on the other side. Yeah. If backlapping isn't correcting it, and then you are adjusting the reel to bed knife clearance to where there's very light contact, like you're not like making it towards overly contacting too heavy, and it's still not cutting paper, that's a sign. It's time to go in to take it in and get it ground. So that's what I would you may have some light coning in it that may need to be taken out, but a grind will fix that. So that is what I would do based on what you you're describing. I don't know. It could be a bed knife problem, or it could be a real problem, or it could be it could be both of them. Either way, if you take it to a place that does good work, that's going to get corrected by them grinding it. So nothing to worry about. All right, next up is Tom Hoffenkamp. He says, first scalp with a John Deere 220E this Saturday, 0.25, and then a back lap to clean it up. Greens mowers are beasts. They are beasts. When you start wrenching these things, you see they're made to last. Does Allet feel similar? The C27 is like a tank. It is like the metal they use. It's all like thick plate. I mean, it's built like a tank. It's a really like compared to the Sterling. I'm not saying the Sterling's not well built, but the C27, like their commercial mowers, man, are built like it feels like a British built greens mower. That's probably the best way of describing it. It's built like a tank. You definitely get your money's worth in weight with that mower. Like they're not cheap on the construction of it. So yeah, it feels really good. But you're right, greens mowers feel solid. Like my Greensmaster feels like it's like you said, like a tank. I'm sure the John Deere feels great. I've never cut with one of those, but I'm sure it's the same thing. And then the Allet also feels like that as well too. All right, next up is Crystal. She says, I cut a walnut tree down for the shells in the yard. Oh, because of the shells in the yard. I got you. Yeah, you got tired of having the shells in the yard, so you got rid of the tree. It's kind of extreme, but I get it. Paying out to clean that up all the time. And then Utah. Yeah, so hopefully, yeah, thanks. You're still there. Hopefully that link helps. I guess I got you. I sent that links as far as what I would recommend. And then next up, we have Joshua Araya. He says, if I want to spoon feed using the low rate of 14,714 on new sod along with a carbon kit and Nutrisolve suffice, or would going heavier be better? The low rate will suffice. So the rates that I recommend, I'll show you here. So the rates that I recommend, and also that are on the spreader settings that we write for the spreaders, spreaders that are not on the bag, are for the 1/2 of a pound of nitrogen per application rate. So what do I mean by that? You're like saying, that seems kind of complicated. What do you mean, Ron? So if you look at the label for this, look at the label for it. Lebanon, in their infinite wisdom, it's really nice on their part to do this, is they offer, why'd I do that? Let's back up. Yeah, they offer 2 rates. So you see when you're looking at the spreader settings, it says 0.9 pounds of N per 1,000, or 1/2 pound of N per 1,000. So they give you 2 rates. They give you a rate for approximately just under a pound of nitrogen per app, and then another rate for 1/2 pound of nitrogen per app. The ones that where I live is in this column, is in the 1/2 pound of nitrogen per app if you're doing spoon feeding. Now, if you're someone that is all you're doing is just the granular, then you could lean more closer to the 0.9 pounds of nitrogen per app. You may not even go that high. So for example, if we go back here, if you look, you see for the Earthray rotary, it is a setting of 11 for the 1/2 pound of N, and then a setting of 15 for a pound of N. You might go like 13 or 14, somewhere in there, 13 and a half. If you're trying to get, set 0.7, 0.8 pounds of nitrogen, you're not trying to put down a full pound of nitrogen, but this gives you an idea of like a range of spreader settings you can play with to get between 1/2 pound and a pound of nitrogen. But I mean, for the settings that you see that I recommend for spoon feeding, that 1/2 pound, that right column of the calibrations for 1/2 pound of nitrogen is what I would go with. So to answer your question, no, I would not put it down heavier. I would go with the low rate, and then spoon feed with a carbon kit and Nutrisolve. That's what I do. I would not go heavier. No need to. So hope that helps, and hopefully it explains why. And if you're not using the carbon kit, you can see what setting you could use to go up on the rate. But in your case, because you're gonna be getting some of your nitrogen from the majority of it from the granular product, and then some of it supplemented with liquid, then there's no need to really go up on the rate. All right. Next up is James Smith. He says, nice pun with the sum of benefits of the Lawn Care Academy, more detail, getting down into the weeds versus typical YouTube video. There you go. It's a good point, James. I wasn't intentional, but I see what you're saying. And then Real Ryan says, good evening, Ron. I spent most of my day digging a French drain that was needed. Wow, that's got to be tough. What would you recommend best steps to recover the Bermuda grass? So, uh, if you want it to match, it sounds like a broken record here, but if you want it to match, I would transfer plugs to the area that the drain, like if there's any collateral areas where the drain isn't that are bare, you can use plugs to help that recover faster. Outside of that, just regularly mow it, like regularly mow it, and that's going to encourage that Bermuda to spread and fill in any bare spots. I'm not sure exactly what you're going for as far as you mean from a recovery standpoint, but I'm just assuming that there's maybe some areas where there's not the drain that maybe the grass is bare or got damaged as part of this process, and you want that to grow in. I would, in more extreme cases, transfer plugs, but mowing covers a multitude of sins. Just get out there, just regularly mow it, and that's going to help it. It's going to help it spread and fill in those areas over time. It's still early in the season, so once we get into like June timeframe, when the heat really arrives and Bermuda takes off, it shouldn't take long for that area to recover nicely. Just continue feeding it the lawn like you would. I'm sure you got like a good nutrient program. I see you got a reel mower there. Greens Master, get some strap action going so you know what you're doing. So whatever nutrient program you're doing, keep up with that and just keep up with your mowing, because that is going to help encourage that lateral spread, which will help those areas fill in faster. Good question, Real Ryan. And then next up we have Julius Elias. He says, "Can I use fertilizer with Primo Max?" You can. I do it every time. I've answered this before, but I normally don't. I can't think of when the last time I sprayed Primo Max without mixing fertilizer with it. So whenever I spray Primo, Julius, what I normally do, my concoction is normally Primo, and the 901C carbon kit, which is fertilizer, which is 2 fertilizers and biostimulants, and then also Nutrizol. So what I do is whenever I spray Primo, I'm technically mixing 3 different liquid fertilizers along with it when I'm spraying that, and it works beautifully. There's no problems with doing that at all. If you are interested in that, I've got a blog post on plant growth regulator that talks about using mixing fertilizer along with it, and I will find that and link that for you in the chat. But to answer your question, there's no problems at all with mixing fertilizer with Primo. No issues there at all. Yep, so this is the blog post on how plant growth regulation can make your lawn thicker and greener, and it also talks about using fertilizer along with your Primo apps, liquid fertilizer along with your Primo apps. So check that out, and that should get you all squared away. Great question. Hail Hydra says, "When will the 5 ounce Prime be back in stock?" I'm hearing it's going to be a little bit. Might be a few weeks, but it's gonna be a little bit from what I'm hearing, Hydra. So if you want to go with the water dispersible granule, the 5-pound jug, unfortunately, is what we're gonna have available for the foreseeable future. It's gonna come back in stock, but from what I'm hearing, it could be a couple of weeks, could be longer than that. I don't have a hard date for you, but again, the 5-pound jug is a way to go if you want to go liquids. Let's see here. Next up is Oliver. He says, I'm not sure the question. He says, "What's the best way to balance the reel to bed knife? I've used the clearance to where you can stick a shim on both sides and tighten both sides together until it cuts paper." Yeah, so if you have like a feeler gauge, I guess that's what you're saying. How do you make sure you're not like you're not canting the reel slightly? Yeah, so a feeler gauge is a great way to do that. You can use a feeler gauge, a very fine one, and I don't know what if I asked Hammonds, he'd be able to tell me. But you can use a feeler gauge to be able to do that. Or in your case, you got shims, you can use that as well too. What you could do, Oliver, as a cheat, is if you don't have a feeler gauge, you can just take some washers, like ideally ones that you are sure are the exact same thickness. If you have some dowel calipers, like check them, make sure they're the same, and then you can put those in between the reel and bed knife, and then not with a lot of pressure, just you can close up the tolerance until they just touch. Not any pressure, because you're not trying to put any marks or mars or possibly damage the reel or bed knife by doing this. All you're trying to do is get it trued up. Then you can remove those, and with the Greens Master, This wouldn't work with an outlet because it's just like it's a free float. It's a free floating like bolt that you're turning. But with the Greens Master, there are detents whenever you whenever you adjust the difference, the clearance between the reel and the bed knife. When you adjust the bed, make the bed bar adjustment, there's like detents. So you can literally go like, okay, I know it's true based on these washers that you know are the same thickness. And then from there, as long as you do the same number of clicks on this side as you do on the other side, that's going to be pretty close. Again, a feeler gauge is probably the most accurate way of doing it, but short of having that, you can just use something that is, a lot thicker, or thicker than the tolerance is going to be, just to get it true, to be able to say that, okay, I've adjusted both sides. Now I know that the reel is parallel to the bed knife. I'll remove those, and now I'll make the adjustments in the same increments, and it should move down, and that's going to get you pretty close, which is probably about the best you can do without using a feeler gauge, which is really the best way to do it. So feeler gauge, but outside of that, you could do something like what I just described to get yourself pretty close as far as making sure they are parallel to each other. Next up, we says, Julie says, can I use granular fertilizer with Primo Max? Yes. Yes. So you'd apply the granular fertilizer first and then spray Primo, but you're obviously not doing them at the same time because one's a granular, one's a liquid. But yes, you could do a granular fertilizer and spray Primo Max on the same day. There's no problem with doing that at all. Actually, that's a great question. And I have a video that talks about what order to do things in that answers this very question. So I will see if I can find it. Here we go. It was from last year. And in this case, I don't have Primo shown in this, but I show using, like, you're putting down Essential G and a fertilizer and then spraying liquids. And whenever you're spraying liquids, you can also insert spraying Primo in that portion of the video. So if you watch this will tell you the order that I like to apply lawn care products. And the long and short of it is, apply the dry stuff first, right? So apply granular biostimulants first, and then fertilizer, and then your liquids. If you were applying, let's say, a granular pre-emergent, I would do that last. So I would do like say you're doing Essential G and say granular pre-emergent on the same day. I would do Essential G first, and then I would do the herbicide next. Main reason is you want to minimize, even though you're going to be wearing your proper PPE, because I know everyone on here wears their PPE when they're out in the lawn, right? You just don't want to be walking around after just putting a bunch of herbicide out if you can avoid it. So why put out a bunch of granular herbicide and then go over the entire lawn again with a product that is largely organic or non-toxic, right? So do all the stuff, leave the sides for last. Herbicide, fungicide, herbicide, ferticide, fungicide, insecticide, anything with side in it, spray that last, apply that last, and then get off the lawn and water it in, or do what you have to do to activate it. But that's the order that I would do things in. But to answer your question, yes, you can use a granular fertilizer along with Primo Max. You could do them on the same day if you want to. That video I showed talks about the way I would go about it. Let's see. Game in Texas. I skipped my question. Did I? Let me look here. If I did, it wasn't intentional. Oh, here we go. I'm sorry. I found it. My bad. Sorry. I got you, man. I got you. It wasn't intentional. Game in Texas. Feisty. It says, how low do you set the blades on the verticutter? I think I remember hearing you say that you do it monthly. That is correct. My yard would be gone if I did it what I've been having it set to. Yes. So I set up my verticutter to where it is 2 to 4 millimeters above the surface of the soil, Game and Tech talk. So not very aggressive. So just above the surface of the soil is where I set up my verticutter. That produces a great result. It lightly thins out the turf, doesn't hurt recovery too much, like the lawn bounces back really quickly. And I do that once per month, starting typically in May. Is when I'll do my first verticut, and I'll do it monthly up until August timeframe. So I didn't skip your question intentionally. Sorry about that. 2 to 4 millimeters above the soil surface. So not like a 2 to 4 inch channel in the soil, 2 to 4 inches above the surface of the soil is where I set up my verticutter, and I get great results by doing it that way. Hope that helps. I appreciate you asking the question. My apologies for skipping earlier. Next up, we're getting towards the end here. We got James. He says, for your mix, granular liquid, can you share the group of tips you use for the liquid sprays? Yes, I can. So I don't have one here. or do I? I used to have one. The long short is whenever I spray the liquid products, when I'm spraying um, Primo, the Carbon Kit, Nutrizolve, any foliar sprays, I use a fine droplet spray tip. So I use and I'll find a link to it and I'll paste it in the chat. Actually, I've already got it here. I've got it. This is the spray tip that I use whenever I'm spraying, again, herbicide, foliars, like a fertilizers. This is the tip that primarily lives on my sprayer. This is the one. It's the T-Jet. I don't have the actual model number, but that's the one that I use. That one is for, again, your fertilizer products and Primo. If you're applying anything that's soil based, so fungicide, pre-emergent, you want a larger droplet size. So that's where the flood jet tip makes more sense, which is this guy, which I will link for you in the chat. So really you only need these 2 spray tips, and I'll see if I can find a link to, or actually show you a picture of it. I think I've got the flood jet tip on the Pillar SC product page. I think I do. Here we go. So yeah. So this is the flood jet spray tip. You can see it's got like a notch in it. So that's going to produce a lot. I mean, it's a much bigger opening to produce a much larger droplet as far as it's going to come out of that. So this is really for spraying, again, like I said, fungicide, anything soil based. So fungicide, pre-emergent, that's what you want to use. If you're spraying anything that's foliar based, so like most liquid post-emergent herbicides and Primo and Fertilizer, use a fine droplet spray tip. And the one that I linked is a red. It's one that's from T-Jet. I will actually show you what it looks like. I can do that. Let me pull up the Amazonia link. This one right here. So that is the spray tip. So you can see that's a lot finer, much smaller hole, right? From which for the nozzle, for the product to come out of, versus that. Like that's a notch. So that's gonna produce a much larger droplet than that will. And the nice thing is they're not that expensive. So get yourself a flood jet tip, get yourself a fine droplet tip, a wide fan spray tip, and you're good to go. You're good to go as far as spraying products on your lawn. All right. Next up, we have Michael Raymond benefits. He says, what are the benefits of humic acid and how much to apply? So how much to apply that's a great question. I mean, it's the jury's out as far as how much is too much, or if there's such a thing as too much of it. The benefits of it is that it helps enhance nutrient uptake. It helps improve soil quality, so that so you get more out of your fertilizers. So if you think about what like humic acid, any kind of soil inputs do, they help also stimulate soil microbial activity. So if you think about why that's important, is when you apply a granular fertilizer, right? You take like a fertilizer like Humic Max. While this is awesome in this form, not really useful for your grass. So when you apply it, it gets into the soil, microbes, fungi, beneficial bacteria like consume it, break it down, and make it available in a form of nitrate that the grass can then take up and hence produce like awesome looking turf grass, right? Humic acid, kelp, those types of inputs help with that activity. They help improve the engine in the soil, which is the beneficial bugs, bacteria, microbes that help drive the engine of the soil, if you want to, for lack of a better term. So it's beneficial. So the nice thing about that is by regularly using humic acid, compost, biochar, using those as part of your program, because you're making the soil more efficient. Whenever you apply fertilizer, you're wasting less of it. So you're able to get by with applying less fertilizer, because what you do put down is going to be used, is going to be seen by the plant if you're also using a biostimulant program, if that makes sense. So that's why a product like Essential G, which is compost, biochar, has some humate in it, is a great option to add to your program. That's why all of the fertilizers that we carry from Lebanon, both Humic Max and the greens grade fertilizers all have humic acid in them. So it's part of an entire program to feed the soil, and by extension, making, helping to grow a healthier stand of turf grass. So hope that helps, Michael. It's all about efficiency. It's all about helping you get more out of your inputs. You're able to make the soil better, so you have to put less in to get the grass perform better. If that makes sense. All right, next up we have James says we're winding down. We are winding down. Game and Tech says thank you. Love your content. You're very welcome. I appreciate it, Game and Tech. And then James says we are winding down. Make sure you hit the like so Ron sleeps better tonight. I really would appreciate that. I thank you so much for that, James. Even though you introduced me to that like half and half Chick-fil-A lemonade, you're not a bad guy. You're leading the likes train, or you're helping support it towards the end of the show. So I gotta give you some love for that. Well, guys, gals, that is it, as they say. It's all the questions that we have for tonight. I really appreciate you guys coming to hang out with me on a Wednesday night. I know there's other places you could have been, but you chose to come here and support the live stream and to chat about turf talk. So hopefully you guys got some benefit out of it. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled time next week, Friday, as always. Again, we got plenty of great products in stock: biostimulants, fertilizer, herbicides if you need them on the golf course lawn store, and all the cool stuff you need, as well as knowledge to help you get your lawn the best it can possibly look, so you can create that lawn that your neighbors are going to envy. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next week. Have an amazing weekend. Get out there and do something fun in the lawn. Take care.